but it's
And we're live. Welcome to Radio Mythoverse for September 21st, 2019. You just heard the full version of Back from the Dead by the Suburban Swamp Kids. They're a fun ska band in South Florida. I highly recommend you check them out on Bandcamp at swampkids.bandcamp.com. You also heard all four of Zalantalis's Mythoverse songs in order. They were the Mythoverse theme, the Adobe Kroger theme, the Mythics theme, and the Changeling theme. So I played all those songs rather than just one this week because this is somewhat of a special edition of Radio Mythoverse. Would you guys care to hazard a guess as to why it's a special edition and why we're streaming on Saturday?
because, for one, Matt and I were able to get the time off because this is our fulfillment date.
Yep. Yes, and we have in fact completed the first round of fulfillment for our Kickstarter campaign. Thus, if you are a backer of the Kickstarter and you happen to be listening and haven't checked your email yet, please do so. We even sent you a handy reminder on the campaign itself. Please let us know if any of those links do not work. I already had one backer message me saying that they were unable to open the PDF from the Dropbox, so I just sent him the file directly, so hopefully that works for him. So yes, please let us know if A, you were expecting a link and did not get it, or B, something is wrong with the link. We will do everything we can to make sure you get your book to you. You should at the very least have a link to the first issue of Adobe Kroger Dame Commander digital, and if you backed for songs, you will have those. And if you backed at the digital war chest tier, you will get the book, all the songs, as well as high-resolution digital files of the pinups and the stickers. So this is going to be something of a more casual, laid-back episode of Radio Mythoverse. We're all kind of tired. I mean, I was up for 20 straight hours yesterday, so I apologize in advance if I'm slightly off kilter this morning. The 1-year-old woke me up well before sunrise, and I spent much of yesterday at the day job, and I was up till, I would have to hazard 2 a.m. making sure everyone was fulfilled and responding to initial feedback. So all in all, very busy day, very busy couple of months. But we are here now to take a moment and reflect, kick back, enjoy what we've accomplished so far, and discuss where we intend to go now that we're here. So glad that you guys can be with us. We have Dylan here on the panel with us. Dylan is very well-regarded member of the Mythoverse community. He has several pieces of art in the digital version of Adobe Kroger Dame Commander #1. In fact, he has an entire page dedicated to several of his pieces because we just love it so much. And he loves his abs, as you can see from his work. Speaking of abs, the next Mythochibi strip should be right up Dylan's alley.
That would.
Is it the thing we've been talking about? The idea where she's like tossing like bottle caps off of Althea's abs?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's kind of like she likes to roast Althea because Adobe would continuously point out like, "When I wish I had that washboard stomach," time and time again, to the point where Althea is like, I get it. So Adobe was just kind of razzing her while she was trying to relax after a workout. It's very cute. The artwork is top-notch, and just one of the many things that I look forward to talking about today is all of the incredibly talented people we've managed to find a way to work within the framework of this universe we've built over the past year. And we literally built it up from nowhere, from nothing. It was just an idea, almost a lark, and it kind of happened by accident. But here we are. We've got a nice little community. We got our first book out to backers in a way. I mean, it's still the book. You can still read it. You just can't hold it in your hands yet. But that's something that we're working towards. The files are being prepped for print. Essentially, it should just involve converting it to CMYK, high resolution TIFF. And any issues that come up we'll deal with. But now that Adobe Kroger's out, I am prepping what I have available for Mythics and Changeling so that when they are complete, they'll go out immediately to all the same backers that I just finished fulfilling to last night. So, I'm really glad to be here. I'm really glad you guys are here. Why don't you just give me a quick rundown of your thoughts as to how everything's been going and where we managed to get to. Talk about your books, too.
You want to go, Matt? Because I'm still waking up because I'm not a morning person.
Hey, few are. You have to train yourself to become a morning person. For a time when I was younger, I was into the whole get up at 5 a.m. thing. And it does have its positives. Like, you do feel more in control of your day when you get up that early. But that's really easy to do when you're, a young man living alone. When you're not, you don't get to decide when you wake up or when you sleep.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a dog. I mean, he's high maintenance because he's fat. He wakes me up every day at like 7 o'clock. So I get it. Just every day it's the same thing. And when I come on bed, I'm like, okay, go to sleep. Then he decides he wants to go potty.
Well, the dog's got to go, and he's got to go, man.
Yeah, but he like just went out, like literally.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, no, I have to go again.
That dog does not sound like he's regular.
No. He just wants to go out and eat. He likes to like walk out for a second, walk back in, and then go eat. Even though he just ate.
You gotta look at that dog's fiber intake.
I don't have to. He's fat. I know there's something wrong with him.
Yeah, well, he does not sound like he's regular right now. You don't want an irregular dog.
There's nothing regular about that damn Chihuahua. I'm telling you.
Do you even know what I'm getting at Dylan?
Yeah, like his dieting, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, trust me. Yeah, you do. The last thing anybody wants is an irregular dog.
Yeah, we're trying to put him on a diet.
Maybe one that's a little bit more fiber heavy.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll help his partially collapsed trachea.
That's right. I do remember he had that condition. That's too bad. Kind of reminds me of that poor dog that Brian, Rags Brian, just rescued. He's been putting pictures up on his Twitter.
That dog was malnourished as fuck, I think.
He's emaciated. I mean, his skin was literally draped over his rib cage. The dog, I'm surprised he's at all amiable or functional. I mean, but Brian just had him neutered, I think, based on what I saw, and he's going to take care of him. Man knows what he's doing, so.
He can definitely at least get his weight up if he feeds him something that's like high protein and high fat.
Yeah, hopefully. I think Brian will do well with it.
Yeah, a lot of red meat should get that dog's weight back to a healthy level.
Yeah, I hate seeing animals in that condition.
Yeah.
And I think didn't he rescue him from a shelter though?
Yep. Yeah, as far as I know. I mean, I'm relatively sure the shelter did not cause him to get into that state. Pretty sure that the shelter found him in that state. If not, then there's something seriously wrong. I
remember the first tweet he put out saying that he was I remember the first tweet Brian put out with that dog. I think he said I rescued him from the kill shelter. I think he was implying that they were ready to put the dog down.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he essentially said that because I remember seeing a tweet that said that he got the dog right as they were going to put him down.
Well, I can't wait to see him healthier. I'm going to be very happy to see nice, chunky,
a big chunk,
active, happy pictures of that animal. So hopefully within the next couple months, we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait for him to talk about how fat the dog's gotten and how the dog needs to go on a diet.
For those watching the chat, Alabaster is mentioning in the digital version of Adobe Kroger Daily Commander that just went out. I needed to fulfill everything last night because I wouldn't have time to sit down and work on it for hours undistracted today. So what I did was there was a piece of Alabaster's art, this fantastic battle on the beach picture of the three girls that I absolutely love, but it was technically incomplete, even though from where I stood it was fine. I loved it, and I was perfectly happy to put it in as is. Alabaster wanted to complete it, so I said, okay, this was earlier in the week, and I said, okay, well, tell you what, you have until the end of the week. I'm going to fulfill at the end of the week, and if you have time to get it done, great, I'll include it. If not, if you don't want me to include it, I won't, and it will just go in one of the other two books, because they're nearing completion too. So Alabaster really worked his heart out to get that done. Unfortunately, he completed it after I had already sent out the first round of fulfillment. But the cool thing about digital is it's very easy to update it. All I have to do is open up the source files, drop Alabaster's image back in there with a little blurb crediting him, and then re-render the PDF to the same spot, and everyone can just re-download it with the fan art in it. So I'll take care of that, Alabaster. It's not a big deal. And just in case people don't re-download the file, we'll include it also in the next book that goes out, so that everyone definitely sees it.
Yeah. All I gotta say that you're not the only one who likes that about digital. EA does too.
Yeah. We'll call it our very first piece of DLC. How about that? DLC for a comic. There you go. So this is Adobe version 1. It's not a breaking change, so the rules of semantic versioning means it's not a major version upgrade. It'll just be like a 1.0.1. There you go.
And then later comes a microtransaction for the comics.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you want color for this panel, 50 cents.
Oh my god! I can only imagine. I know people give Marvel and DC shit for the way they're run these days. Imagine if EA was running them.
Honestly, probably better.
I don't know, Matt. As bad as they are now, that could be worse.
If you want an attractive squirrel girl, it'll cost $10.
Hey, Rags is sitting on a gold mine. They can have DLC to remove this rabbit or that rabbit.
Hey, let me put it this way. At least we'll get the attractive squirrel girl.
Yeah, although we usually have to turn to fan artists for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm standing by what I said. As bad as they are, it could be run much worse.
There was actually a game, I think it was called DLC Quest or something along those lines. It's been a while since I played it. But the gag was every single piece of action you take in the game has to be downloaded. And you don't pay for it, but you have to go through this whole process of opening up a new window and downloading it within the game so that you can jump, or that so you can wield a sword, or that so you can put on a hat, or so, and just all throughout the game, every little piece of progress you make, you have to stop and do a simulated microtransaction. It is hilarious. And if I named it correctly, I'm going to do a quick search for it. While I do that, Matt, talk about where Mythics is at right now.
Oh, right now the pages are done with Mythics, and it's waiting to be formatted into the book file. I think people are going to enjoy the humor, especially parents who have a baby in the house, because maybe they'll appreciate the fact that no matter how bad the baby might be, at least they don't have a baby changeling.
Well, does the changeling come into his or her power yet?
No, fortunately not.
All right, so it's not going to be like a Jack situation.
or a baby Maeve.
Or a baby Maeve, yeah. The baby Maeve from Mythochibis is, I don't know why, but I don't usually laugh at my own work. But the fisticuff strip still kills me every time I read it because it's so stupid. It's like, why does she keep saying, come on, put him up, fisticuffs? I don't know. I just like the word. And then it immediately escalates to, obviously the room being destroyed. So
I'm trying to figure out which one. I'm trying to figure out whose fault the room is a wreck is more.
Well, the way I see it in my head is Adobe's like, come on, put him up. And then she playfully bops her on the cheek, obviously just very, very gently. But Maeve clearly did not want to play fight at that moment. And so maybe she screamed, and then Adobe tried to plug her up, and then maybe she called for help from the cat, and the cat distracted Adobe while Maeve threw something on top of her, like the fridge. I don't know. Whatever happens, happens. It just kept escalating and escalating. And Adobe's excuse was, hey, she escalated first. It's her fault. All I did was bop her on the cheek very gently. But anyway, so yeah, so tell me more about that. Matt?
Well, I got some feedback from our people like our Mythoverse Arist Antonella, who really loves seeing Althea as a mother.
That's good. That's cool. I dropped a link to DLC Quest in the chat, by the way, if you guys want to check it out. It is absolutely hysterical.
By the way, it'll be an extra $5 if you want to have the version where the baby Changeling has all of her powers.
Oh, okay. All right. Sweet.
$10 for more of a Althea's abs.
Oh yeah, the ab shot. Yeah, $10 for the version where she's in like a sports bra the entire time. And the extra bit of light glistening off of her abs. Yeah, there you go. I don't know, man. I think we might be onto something here. I mean, we were just casually discussing a dating sim, and now all of a sudden we have 3 beautiful images from Raven, and we're going to be prototyping that. So who the hell knows? Maybe we can put out digital DLC comics where you can get that little bit of extra fan service if you pay 50 cents here and 50 cents there.
While we're on that subject, actually, Reese, I think it was earlier in the week. Yeah, I had to double check my DMs. I believe it was. It was Wednesday. I sent Raven a demo script to what she's going to be working on in between her commissions. But yeah, so it's really short. You got there's only 3 actions that happen. But I think what kind of adds a little bit of depth is I added in a lot of narrative forks.
Okay. Very cool. And that would be a good way to prove the concept. Yeah. So,
just
everyone really loved the artwork, but I think if we can demonstrate, a working dialogue tree, maybe have her expression change a little bit based on what you say, whether she likes it or doesn't like it. And the cool thing is Raven's already allowed for that sort of thing, where she layered the artwork so that she can quickly change an expression or their outfit. So if we can show that, and I think that would be enough to gauge interest.
Yeah, the thing is,
and possibly propose a crowdfund down the line.
Oh yeah, and that would be really good because Raven really does like dating sims. This is she when Matt and I were talking with her, she actually said it's always kind of been a dream of mine to make my own.
Well, now she's got a good IP that people are into, and she's obviously very into it. When I proposed the idea of her doing these 3 pieces of art, she jumped on it with both feet. She was really up for it, and she said, hell yeah, I want to do this, more or less. So that's the kind of thing that I think has been most gratifying for me personally. I mean, for me personally, anyway, is that we've managed to really energize a lot of creative people with these IPs to the point where we can really start to really help everyone really realize their potential. But before you can do that, you have to be the kind of person who can get things done, and I think we've demonstrated that by getting our first book out on time, at least in digital form. And it hasn't been easy getting here. It's been one obstacle after another. So anyone who thinks that even this small degree of success is easy, no, it takes a hell of a lot of work, hell of a lot of patience, and a hell of a lot of like shifting gears and being ready to adapt on the fly.
Fuck, we're not even done. Not even close.
Not even close, but we're further along than many other campaigns are.
We're still literally at step 1.
Yeah, but
That's step 1 of phase 1.
Step 1 of phase 1, yeah. But even so, I mean, we don't rest on our laurels even after we get to these milestones. Brett and Matt can attest that even after we had gotten our artists all paid for, and after our scripts have been turned in, and all we had to do was wait for the art, we immediately got to work on something else, the Narratus Mythologica audiocast, to make the universe more rich and engaging while the first books were being put out. And that's been pretty well received. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, the thing is, though, is like something that kind of clicked with me really quickly. Hold up. Thought I was going to sneeze there for a sec. When you're an indie creator, you need a day job to support it. You essentially have to run this like it's a full-time second job, and you are never not working.
No, I mean, the old gag is that an entrepreneur is someone who would rather work 20 hours a day for themselves than 8 hours a day for somebody else. In our case, though, we're doing both.
Yep.
So yeah, technically we are working 28 hours a day. I mean, obviously we're finding a way to make it possible.
Yep. A lot. One of the things that the Rooster Teeth podcast does is they talk about the earlier days of the company, and that is exactly what they had to go through during the first few years. Is they needed their day jobs to support it, but also they had to go and record and set up all the stuff for next episode of Red vs. Blue. It wasn't as easy as people thought it was.
No, because there's only so many hours of the day,
Yep.
and you have to eat. Otherwise, you don't have the spare time to be able to do all these extra things.
Yep.
So, real quick before I forget, Dylan, we were talking about Attractive Squirrel Girl when we were on the DLC subject, and he posted his version of the Attractive Squirrel Girl in chat, so I'm displaying that right now. And you know what? I prefer this to what was actually offered. I don't, to this day, I don't know what they were hoping to accomplish with that art. I mean, you don't have to make her a bombshell, but the art still has to be appealing to look at, regardless of whether or not she's a curvaceous,
the only thing I can think of that makes any sense to me is that the artist was just popular.
Well, I don't know. Was she though? I mean, I honestly never saw anyone reading it or talking about it. I mean, I saw people like posing with pictures of it, but
no, hold up. It's like because this is a thing I heard that I heard Pendleton Ward did a lot on Adventure Time. He would scoop up these people who had like huge followings on Tumblr and expected that their fans would carry over into his.
Yeah, well, people on Tumblr don't have to pay to consume the content, so why would they pay to consume a comic book? I don't know.
That's the only thing that makes. It's the only thing that makes any sense to me.
You're probably right. I can't think of any other explanation. I mean, that has been a pattern over the past 5 years or so. Yeah, that we see all of these artists that have literally did not work their way up in the industry. They just posted some art, and they were actually sought out and recruited. In the old days, you actually had to put together a proposal, a portfolio application, and you would put that out and wait for months and months to be ignored. And if you got in, you were lucky. Maybe you did a cover here and there, you did a fill-in here and there, but Now it's like, hey, this person has a following. Hey, do you want to work for us? Okay, I've never actually paneled a full book before, but it's okay. It's okay. You'll learn that as you go, apparently. I don't know. It used to be like you had to prove that you could do a job before you were hired. At least that's what I'm accustomed to.
You know what? I mean, like, Valiant, back when it was being run by Jim Shooter, they had, when they first got started, I believe, it was sort of like a mix of veterans and new guys. And the veterans, they kind of helped mentor the new guys. In fact, one of the guys who got his start as a Valiant artist was Joe Quesada.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying I think it's been demonstrated over the past 5 years that whatever they're doing just isn't cutting the mustard anymore.
I'm just saying, it's like there used to be. I'm just saying, when they brought in new guys, there was at least some mentorship.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's proof positive that isn't working. That there's so many people like us now that are building a community around brand new IPs. It's that the old IPs, the cash cows, the evergreens that we're used to just saying, hey, this is good, no longer are. Like, I can't even bear to read Spider-Man. I haven't been able to read him for a very long time because it's just not the same character anymore. And so we say, hey, fine, we'll do it ourselves. So here we are. We are doing it ourselves. So speaking of doing it ourselves, what state is Changeling in?
Yeah, Ginger's having issues with Discord, but she hit me up over Twitter.
Okay.
Okay. Everyone. Oh, there's Lenore. Lenore's in the chat. Lenore, why are you in the panel?
It's fine. I mean, she probably has morning voice like I do. Who the hell knows? Let her do her thing.
Okay, but yeah. Okay, so everyone in the Discord already saw this, but yeah, as of right now, Victor's on the final page to ink. And this is from Ginger. Pages 16 through 29 are evenly progressing.
Cool.
He says, I'm doing laundry and I only have my phone with me.
Yeah, she's multitasking. And that's cool. That's absolutely cool. Do your thing. Clean those clothes. Yeah, you messaged me earlier and I said, hey, I'm up now, but like I told everyone here, I'm a little off kilter because I've been up for quite some time. So whatever you need, just go ahead and ping me. We'll see if we can address it. All right, so well, Adobe Kroger's out. What do you estimate? Do they have a sort of a solid estimate on how long they think it will take to complete the remaining pages?
I did not ask, but if I know Victor said that the final page was going to be the hardest for him. I don't understand. I think it's because there's a building in it and he's not good with those.
Buildings. I still roast myself over my script for issue 1 because Leandro had never drawn so many skyscrapers in his entire life. Wow. He said he appreciated the challenge and he had fun with it, but I think he was just trying to avoid saying I hate you for setting it in a sea of skyscrapers. And there is a scene that's cycling through the slideshow right now where you see Casey Crumb from below hovering in midair. And initially I had scripted that to be an overhead shot with a sea of skyscrapers underneath her. Now his angle works much better. I prefer it. But part of me jokingly thinks maybe he changed the angle so he wouldn't have to draw so many buildings. So, but you know, go ahead.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, buildings are very difficult to render, especially if you don't, just use a 3D model. And I can tell that he didn't because I saw all of the in progress work. He literally did all that old school with perspective lines and rendered it all by hand. So he's a real pro. And my little jibe about him shifting the angle doesn't make sense because he did a perfectly fine and gorgeous overhead shot later on. So I think he made the decision to swap it up so he wouldn't have the same shot twice within 4 or 5 pages, which makes perfect sense. So after he made that change, I said, dude, go ahead and just ignore my camera directions. This is just me telling you, like, this is how I picture it. But honestly, move it around however you like. And that happened many times throughout the book, and it ended up all the better for it.
I am glad I said changeling in Aberdeen, where there are no skyscrapers.
Yeah,
I'm glad that I gave Beth such a smaller story that I don't need to have her draw skyscrapers.
Lenore says you did the no sleep challenge. Yeah, not willingly. Not willingly.
Yeah. Dan has kids, remember, Lenore?
Yeah.
One of them is a 1-year-old.
Yeah, he can be sound asleep, but he'll be flipping upside down, and I always say that he gives me crane kicks to the face. And then usually I move to the couch to give him plenty of room to move around without waking my wife up. Or sometimes I wake up and she's already done that. So we kind of take turns. He's too big for a crib. He climbs out of it. So we yeah, he's a toddler. He can climb right out of a crib.
Yeah.
So you should have moved into a bed.
We made him a toddler bed, and we often do. We actually have a memory foam mattress on the floor that he loves to sleep on across the house. But he will wake up middle of the night, confused, looking for his parents, and he'll just wake up next to us and slap us in the face until we pick him up. I mean, I know it's hard to understand if you've never gone through it, but kids, they do their own thing, even at that age. And when they want their parents, they will find a way to get to their parents. Sometimes he sleeps through the night, but, he does very silently sometimes. He just gets up and comes to our room and then pounds on us until we take him up and put him to sleep.
And what, you just wait? You ever had a day where you just woke up and he was there?
Yeah, many times. Yeah, like I'll be moving over to get comfortable, and I'm looking right in his face, like he's just waiting for me to wake up. Like, oh hi, I think I know who you are.
Like he just crawled into bed. Like he just crawled into your guys' bed in the middle of the night while you were sleeping, and then it's like,
yeah, he can almost get on the bed by himself. If he crawls like from the head, the footboard where he can step up a little bit, but most of the time he needs us to pull him up. So he'll try for a little bit, and then he'll slap us or make noise until we wake up, and then we just put him between us until he falls asleep. And sometimes we fall asleep before he does, and that's when we get into the crane kicks to the face that wake me up an hour later.
Does he cry?
He cries when we don't acknowledge him. As soon as like he's got one of our hands in his hand, or he's between us with a binky, he's fine. But if he's not acknowledged or he's not being touched, then yeah, he'll cry to get your attention. Alabaster says, as an artist, I can confirm we cheat to avoid drawing more. Yeah, as an artist myself, I do that all the damn time.
Nora says my cat does that, to be honest, especially the face slapping.
Yeah, cats. We have a cat too, and she absolutely requires contact. If you're not paying attention to her, she will walk up and forcibly ram you to get your attention. And this cat will, all of a sudden, I'll notice a weight on my hip or my back or wherever, and it's the cat just perched on me in the middle of the night. And
sounds like my roommate's cat, because like he'll just like he'll. In fact, I had to get him out of my room because I know that if I just let him roam around, I know what he's inevitably gonna do. He is gonna jump on top of my desk, and he's gonna just to get my attention. And when I'm sleeping, he'll hop on my bed and he'll just lay up against me.
Yeah, that's what cats do. They want to make sure they're in control of their humans. Dogs are different. Dogs are just happy that you acknowledge that they're alive. But cats demand that you acknowledge that they're alive.
Yeah,
and make you their focus.
That's the thing. It's just like he's not my cat, he's my roommate's, but he just decided I was his human.
Lenore says, Riddick appears as if by magic onto my shoulder. On a good day, he snags fabric and not skin. You know,
Oh god.
it's a goddamn miracle that my very tender crotch area has not been shredded by this cat, because she loves to walk up on me when I'm asleep on my back and I feel a pressure, but no claws. I don't know how she knows not to use her claws on that specific point, because she does on my legs, you know. But so far I've been very, very lucky.
Roommate's cat, he just this cat has a problem with play biting. Like I have to I need to get a spray bottle because there are too many times like he just I know he's just play biting, but it's like he does it when he's not supposed to.
Sure. You had to say tender crotch, didn't you? Well, I didn't want to say nutsack. Okay.
It's just
Anyway,
like,
so did you name your cat Riddick because he's got the shiny eyes? He can sneak up on you in the dark.
I think her boyfriend came up with it.
Ah, that's cool. I liked the character, and the Xbox game was a blast. I loved him in Pitch Black, although I didn't care for Chronicles of Riddick that much.
That I did not understand that one.
The
I did not
Xbox game
understand.
was fantastic. I wanted more of those, though.
That was sorta also because he's a charismatic asshole.
Yeah, isn't he based off of like his Drow elf character, or is that somebody else?
But I don't know. I mean, what? I don't know. I forget.
Yeah, I know he's a big D&D fan, and I know
Vin Diesel. Yeah, Vin Diesel. Like I think Vin Diesel actually signed put his signature on one of the editions of Dungeons and Dragons.
I think he also wrote an introduction for one too.
Yeah, he's a genuinely geek's geek, as you say. And I think that's why I find him so appealing, even if most of the movies he's in I don't care for. I just like him as an actor. Kind of like The Rock. You know, he's a really charismatic guy that's in a lot of shitty movies.
And even when he's a bad guy, you want to root for him.
Yeah, exactly. Riddick is the perfect anti-hero. I still, to this day, I still love that scene where he says, "Looks clear," and then they get immediately attacked by a monster. And then he looks again and says, "Looks clear." It's like, what do you want? I'm telling you what I said.
Victor and Ginger did not give me give me a time frame. But if I had to ballpark it, I would say within the next week.
All right. Well, like I told you before, I don't want them to rush right now. I need quality above everything else, and the file's getting prepped. So I'll be going through it and editing it and putting up suggestions. So as soon as we get those last pieces and everything passes muster, it's going to go out. So there's no need to rush. It's not going to be like I'm not going to wait until I get all the art before I get the file ready. I'm just going to get to a point where I can just plug in new pages and then go over it one last time and then send it out. I've got it down to a science after last night, so it should only take me a little while to get the next book out to everybody.
Yeah. Besides, I mean, like we at least got one of the books out in the wild, and it's, I think at least our circle of the online indie comics community, they've sort of come to the understanding that the creators, they have no control over their printers, so it taking a while is just to get out, to just get the physical copy in their hands should just be expected at this point.
Yeah, and on top of that, we are being very transparent and we are being very blatantly obvious that we're doing everything we can to get as much out to them as we can. So basically, like, there was one tier, the Digital War Chest tier. They got all the posters, all the songs. They got Adobe, and everyone else got Adobe. So it was what we were able to fulfill on the deadline, and so I think that as a show of good faith will go a long way in our favor to building that trust in our brand. Jeremy, hey Jeremy, he says Adobe K rocked it. Thank you very much. It was very gratifying to see it all come together. And so far, the feedback has been largely positive, especially for the artwork. Deservedly so. Leandro's artwork is absolutely stellar. I'm gobsmacked at how well it came out. And he made this project because when I was searching for an artist, I wanted a manga / Sin City-esque aesthetic to capture the tone I was going for, like dark urban gritty fantasy. And he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. And it took me a very long time to find the right artist for it, because there's so many brilliant artists out there that can just blow your mind with what they can compose sequentially or as a pinup. But he was the only one that fit all of my criteria. A, he could accomplish the aesthetic. B, he was very professional and polite and easy to work with. And C, he worked fast. So he got the job, and it's gone really well for him. He's been telling me that ever since he started sharing art and we've been tagging him in the art, he's been getting inquiries. Like, people want him to work for them for their books. And I told him that couldn't make me any happier to hear that. I want him to get to the point where he has to pick and choose gigs because he's too busy. Because I honestly think this guy's going places, and if the one thing I can say is that Adobe Kroger helped him get there, then at the end of the day, I think I will have accomplished some good in the world. Jeremy says it's career-making artwork. I agree. He worked his heart out on this. He worked his heart on this. If the only thing that comes of this is that this is a portfolio piece for him, fine, you know. But I think it will go much more, especially the way I intend issue 2 to go. It's going to be, issue 2 will be longer. There'll be more pages in it. I had to limit how much I was able to put into this book for budgetary purposes. I didn't want to go above 24 pages because, you know, Leandro, I took care of him, and he's not cheap. And he's only going to get more expensive. But I think now that we've gotten this book done, I think it's in order to really pack a little bit more into the next issue. Maybe 8 pages more or so. So we'll see. We'll see how it works out. And I think the same can be said for the other 2 books. We say this over and over again, so we're sounding like a bit of a broken record, but I think that the aesthetics that each of the other books called for, we ended up with the artist that would do the best service for them. Like, I was after a certain tone. Leandro was the only one that would have worked. Brett was after a certain tone. And it's a deceptive tone. Like, when you open up Changeling, like I'm looking at the digital files right now, and Jeremy says, the color cover is fine, but never color Leandro's interiors. You know what? It's funny you mentioned that, Jeremy, because when Brett Smith finished up the cover, he said, you know what? I honestly think Leandro's artwork is black and white artwork. So I would love to color it, but I honestly don't think it needs it. And I ended up agreeing with him. And that's good for me because, you know, it helped me pay for the book a little bit easier.
If Brett is saying that, he's probably right.
Yeah, Brett loves the artwork, and I don't blame him. But yeah, so I think for the time being, I'm going to leave the interiors as they are because I think they stand pretty well on their own. So as I was saying, I have a Changeling's digital file open in front of me, and the very first page is the scene where Maeve's mom is dropping Maeve off at the church youth group, and the colors are very soft and pastel and gentle, and it's a very, you know, almost a hallmarky moment where you see a mother-daughter conversation, and the mother is trying to reassure her daughter that she'll be fine, and the daughter's a little bit unsure, and that can throw you off because that's not really where the book ends up going. Like, it goes into darker places, but the art kind of like allows you to think it's one thing and then very gently and smoothly bring in the meat of the story, I think. And it works very well because in a moment it shifts to dark ambiance and atmosphere when there's the action scene, and Ginger can handle both of those perfectly. And the art that Victor turned in is expressive in those sweet family moments and in the action scenes.
Yeah, I absolutely love Victor's art. I mean, just seeing like the potential of like how much growth like he can do with something like this, him and Ginger, like, yeah, it's really exciting to see.
I agree, and you can see that as the pages go on, that they really do start to mesh more as they go. Like they're really in their groove, and
Right.
I can't wait to see where they go next with that. Leonora says you guys picked the perfect artists. I agree, and it took a long time to pick them. It took a long time. I went through
Lenore.
Go ahead.
I said thanks, Lenore.
Yeah, and I'm relatively sure that that's not a thinly veiled self-promotional statement, because if you can see behind all the art here, there is the Mythoverse tree, and I think Lenore did that for us. I'm not sure though. Did you do that for us?
Yes, she did. Are you seriously asking that?
No.
Lenore, do you want to?
No.
Lenore, do you want to hop on the panel and set the record straight for this?
No, I'm pretty sure she did that for us.
Please, Lenore, get it. Get in.
No. No.
She was proud of that.
Oh, come on.
Those 100% her word.
Okay, I'm whipping out the joke you give. Come on. No. The tree is absolutely 100% Lenore's work. And while it was produced digitally, she did not trace it. She did not use any tools to shortcut it. It's all freehand and 100% original Celtic knots.
I think she used a symmetry tool, but that was about it.
Well, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Artists do that all the time. They fold the sheet of paper over, and if they need perfect symmetry, and they trace the other side. It's a very common trick.
I think only she can attest to that.
Yeah, she hands. She says, "No, I meant for the books." Well, guess what? You did the tree, and that's all the books. On the back of every book will be a beautiful full color Mythoverse tree with the Wicked Publishing logo. So everyone's gonna see it.
Yeah. Crap. I was looking. Damn it. I had a brain fart.
Oh, that happens.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm running on pure momentum right now. So.
Oh! I know what I was gonna say. I learned a long time ago. Not long time ago, as in like a few months. Okay, so not that long. That you cannot solely rely on just freehand, because that's what I was doing for a long time. And then now that I use like references and stuff, not like direct references and such, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's no shame in using references. All the masters use them. I mean, right. You're imitating nature, so why not look at it while you're imitating it?
Yeah, I look at multiple references just so it doesn't look like I copied anything.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with using references for inspiration, and don't let anyone tell you you're less of an artist for doing it. I mean, in the end, your art stands on its own by appealing to whoever's looking at it, regardless of how it got there.
You guys know Greg Land?
Yeah, I know who Greg Land is.
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, like I've heard people criticize the guy's use of reference. Like some people will say like he overuses it and his art just looks like stiff. I don't know. I mean, like I don't know how true that is, because I read Sojourn and that book looks amazing.
In the end, it's subjective. It's all personal preference. Some people don't mind it. Some people do. And, neither one is wrong. No one can tell you you're wrong if you like something. Because that's not a truth statement. That's a subjective opinion.
No, I still think at a certain point you gotta, like, I don't know, I think, like, everyone kind of has an idea of what bad art is. I mean, like, in my opinion, though, I mean, like, bad art is art that fails to achieve what it sets out to do.
Right. So, what I was thinking, you were talking about taking like liberties, like how your artist tried to avoid, uh, tried to use that one shot to avoid drawing more skyscrapers.
Well, I just pulled that out of my ass. So I have no idea. I honestly think he saw that I already had an overhead shot a couple pages later, so he said,
Right.
"Hey, let me just
Yeah.
make it more dynamic."
So yeah, I was thinking about that, and I thought of something similar to like what I was doing, where I mean, I'm of course I'm getting my script ready for my book for phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever that comes along, and I plan on probably getting it all done ahead of time because I mean I'm doing everything myself,
Mm-hmm.
and so what I'm thinking is I'm gonna have it like mostly hazy or in the dark, so you know I mean I can make it look cool, but I don't have to like draw like anything like excruciatingly you know crazy.
In the end, I think one good establishing shot is all you need.
Oh yes, oh certainly.
Yeah, just so everyone knows roughly where everything is in relation to everything else, and the rest, yeah, you can really get by on shortcuts. You don't need 500 establishing shots, and I guess I kind of overdid it by having all the. But the setting was taking place where it was for a reason. They couldn't get within 100 yards of the skyscraper because of the wards, so they had to have a conversation far away from it, and Casey had to be on top of it to
Right.
do her job. So that was
Yeah,
all
certainly.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna establish the castle she's gonna go in. I mean, obviously there are Castlevania influences, but what the thing I'm wanting to aim for is more of a Dave McKean kind of artwork. Think like Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth. That kind of style. I mean, it's more or less inspired by it. At least that's what I'm going to go for. I haven't. Uh, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm still
Yeah.
going through the early phases.
Yeah, and it's fine. I mean, these things take time. It took us a year to complete this one book. The next one won't take this long because we've gotten all the kinks out of it, and we understand the characters and the setting a bit more. But the first go out of the gate, you're not only just writing a book and producing a book, you're developing an entire brand, and that takes a lot of work.
Right.
Alabaster, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay, Alabaster said manga does it all the time. I assume that's in reference to establishing shots. Yes, I can attest to that. There are a boatload of establishing shots in anime, often to break scenes up and all of that, even if it's not important. Yeah. Like it'll just cut to a shot of a building for no reason, just because the scene is over and here's a new one. Mike Barron and Jeremy says Mike Barron thinks every page needs its own establishment shot. Well, I think you only need to have an establishing shot when you change venues. Like if you go into a new room and the layout of the room is important because there's going to be a battle in there and you need to know where everybody is, then at least do that.
Now that I think about it, there are not a lot of establishing shots in the first issue of Changeling.
Well, there's the first page is an establishing shot.
There's first page. There's a scene where Maeve is riding her bike.
It's not really much of an establishing shot.
Well, yeah, not too much, but it shows that she's going somewhere. It's not like just a blank background. You only like really do that when you've already established. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, that's just. I guess I don't know. I just sort of. It was one of those cases where I thought, like, most people can kind of relate to this, so it's not like I really need to establish it.
Yeah, because it's suburban. Yeah, I get it.
And you could always say, hey, Aberdeen isn't that visually interesting. So there you go.
It's not. It's not. I mean, if you just look at the cities, the downtown pictures of the downtown, it's not picturesque.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's only picturesque when Victor and Ginger
No, I mean, like, I don't think even Victor and Ginger could make it look good. It's just it. I mean, especially with how the weather usually is in Aberdeen. I mean, hey, Tank jumped in.
Hey, Tank.
I would
Good
think.
evening.
Hey, Tank. Jeremy says,
Can
I
you
think
hear
that we
me?
do have a lot of establishment shots without thinking as such. I assume you're referring to Movie Men. If so, I think you had just the right amount of establishing shots in that book. And I highly recommend, guys, if you haven't backed Movie Men, make sure you pick up a copy of it somehow. It has some hilariously funny dialogue delivered so dryly and straight that I laughed out loud, and I don't want to ruin it. But it's a really fun book, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. And Jeremy agrees that Aberdeen is not much. No, it really isn't. So I visited Aberdeen years ago, like back in 07, because I wanted to get a few, Gen X pilgrimages out of the way. I wanted to see Astoria and Cannon Beach. I wanted to see, Kurt Cobain's bridge and his house and all that stuff. I wanted to get that out of the way before I stopped caring about it. And yeah, you're right. Aberdeen is really not that much. I mean, if you're not there for certain cultural landmarks, you could miss it. There's really not much going on. But there was a very cool shop back then, and I don't know if it still exists because I haven't bothered to look it up. It was the Star Wars store, and it was owned by an old man who actually just bought up someone's collection. And literally every piece of merchandise in the store was Star Wars related, and everything you could think of. All this kitsch from the 70s and 80s, all these 45 RPM records all over the wall. And it was a really cool little shop, and I wonder if it's still in business.
Who knows?
Yeah, that's
Right.
cool. And I managed to pick up a Todd McFarlane Kurt Cobain figurine right before it went into general release from that shop. And that's really the only piece of my past that I still keep is that little figure.
Right.
Honestly,
I'm gonna go do something real quick, and I'm gonna go grab a beer.
All right, man.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right.
Alabaster
Honestly-
says manga will have establishing shots and no backgrounds for the rest of the panel as your mind fills in the blank space. Yeah, if you notice in Adobe Kroger, Leandro does that very same thing. After the first establishing shot, the very next panel where Adobe is asking Casey, what are we looking at? It's just a white background. So I think he does similar things with his work. Okay, sorry, Tank. Yes, we can hear you. How you doing?
Boiling. It's hot.
It's
It's
hot.
hot this side.
Sorry to hear that. It's starting to cool down where I am finally because I'm way up in North
Oh
Florida.
yeah, I just remembered because South Africa is south of the equator. I mean, our winter is their summer.
Yeah, and it's starting to heat up. And the funny thing is, our winter started late and carried on a little bit longer than usual this year. So, but where I live on the coast, it's there is no such thing as actual winter. It's more like summer and hot summer. there's no cooler variant, as it were, of the temperatures.
Yeah, that's how it is in South Florida. You have summer and summer plus.
Yeah, pretty
summer
much.
summer plus is what everyone else would consider summer. During those months, it is cripplingly humid to the point where I always joke that I needed to take a bottle of water to take the trash out because I would lose that much water walking down the block and back because your sweat does not evaporate. You cannot cool off. I mean, they call it swamp ass for
it
a
sticks
reason.
to you.
Yeah. It's
It sticks to you. That's how humid it is here on the East Coast as well in KZN. Funny story though, if you switch over to the West Coast to Cape Town, you don't have that. They have a much drier summer in terms of how things go there. It's crazy. But before we get into all the difficulties and all the funninesses of global temperatures and shit, congratulations on getting to this point, guys. I'm happy to have helped you guys push this one over the line, and for all the help you've given me with everything else. Coming soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Absolutely, Tank. Tank, in case you aren't familiar, has been just superlatively crafting promotional memes for us and other creators. He did it for Wanpool. He's done it for the other Wicked creators, and he's done it for us. And for those who are paying attention, there's an Easter egg in Adobe Kroger issue 1 to say thanks to Tank.
Most people aren't going to catch it, but he knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, he knows, and that's what matters. Tank knows.
I've been privy to a lot of background wheelings and dealings, so I've been very tight-lipped about the extent of what I know that goes on in the books. So
yeah,
like you can just say what Dan's talking about.
Yeah,
I know what Dan's talking about. I know where half the story goes in most of the books. I've seen things going ahead, and no, you cannot ask me because my lips are sealed tighter, and I do mean tighter than a clay oxen's ass.
Damn, that is tight. Lenore says, coming soon indeed, in reference to what Tank said. I won't say too much more about that, but because I'm really excited about it, and I really want to save it for when we reveal it. But we are working on something with Tank that is very, very cool, and I'm very excited about it, and Lenore is involved. She has lent her talents to it, and I've just received her work for the first part of it earlier this week, and I have been hard at work in whatever time I can manage, working on getting it polished. So, yeah, we'll have more to talk about on that score soon. But yeah, Tank does have something coming soon, and I'm excited to see where that goes. It's been a long time in the making, too. If you're in the Discord, you've been getting a little bit of clues here and there, but yeah, we have exciting plans for what Tank's working on.
Even if you've been following me on Twitter, you will have occasionally, in between all the falling shit posts and memes and shit, you will have seen glimpses of my work with me sharing character art and things like that. And I must say, the Mythoverse guys have been very helpful. I've been bouncing ideas, asking them, does this work? Does that work? And it's been a crazy ride. And apart from my own novella that is coming, sorry about that. There's also another project that I'm working on, but you're gonna have to wait for that one.
Yeah, Tank is a veritable font of concepts and ideas. I don't think we're gonna have enough time to get to all of them. But to tell you the truth, one in particular I think is pretty strong, is the one he's probably been promoting the most. A lot of the art that he's been showing has been of the characters in this first project. Killbox does some incredible weapon design and armor design for him. Yeah, just look in the Discord and you'll see some beautiful artwork of the cast of this first project we're working hard on.
Yeah. The character art was done by an artist that was introduced to me by Mr. Cranky Writer, Matt Trin himself, a artist, Michael Santos. I don't know which country he's from, but he's been doing a lot of the character art for me, the canon designs, and also I've recently had him doing reference shots for future team ups and things for just promotional art, and just thank yous to everybody that's helped me out.
Well, great.
That's coming down the line eventually when exchange rate allows.
Yeah, eventually being the keyword. I mean, just to get to this point where we could get one book digitally out to people, this is well over a year in the making. So, guys, it takes time, but don't give up. If you got an idea, keep working on it.
I don't think people are so kind of used to how things work with Marvel and DC, how they're just able to get books practically off a conveyor belt on a monthly basis. That is not true for most creators.
No, we don't have 60 years of cultural momentum behind us, and brand recognition.
And resources.
Yeah. I mean, this is all, aside from the money that we're able to raise from the Kickstarter, all the additional content we're putting out to flesh the universe out, all the artists and voiceover artists that we're hiring, this is all coming out of our pocket. So and we have to earn that money first. So
I don't understand. Like I'm even amazed. Like this whole experience has even made me just kind of do a double take and look at like even like indie artists who somehow get them book out monthly. It's like, how the hell do you do that?
well,
yeah. Just as a final thought from my side, this is from the acknowledgements and thank you page for the novella that I've already written up. But this, I'll give it to everybody now. My book will be dedicated to anyone that has a dream and a story to tell. Don't give up hope, persevere, refine that idea, keep going, and you'll get there.
Sure. Here. And perseverance is the key right there, because the only reason we've gotten as far as we have, and we're still just getting started, as Brett said. It's because we persevered and because we said, hey, this is fucking hard. It's expensive, but we believe in this and we want to share it because I think other people will really appreciate it and get a lot out of it. Because the whole purpose of art is to bring beauty to people's lives, and B, to make important truths stick in their heads. And we think that's been horribly misused over the past 5 years, especially in the comics field. So we're doing our part. Yeah. We're doing our part to kind of balance that scale out, to try to provide some actual capital T truths instead of these fake lowercase truths. You know what I'm saying? And that's my long-term goal, especially with Adobe Kroger. And I think we're well on our way. We're gonna get there. Just gotta bear with us, guys. We will make this happen.
Yeah, I think for the most part, everybody in the indie sphere, be they for novellas, novels, comics, whatever, we all just want to return the medium to what it should be, providing entertainment, providing people with escape. The things that have been missing from movies, from music, from everything, because we've all been so bombarded with general nonsense from all directions. The purity of the art forms, like I said, be it writing, music, whatever, has been lost. And we're all in this because we all believe in what we have to say. It's just to return back to that purity. And
I agree.
It's a mind screw up. I don't want to make this too R-rated with language.
That's all right. I've already said nutsack.
Well, it's a mind fuck then.
Okay, it's a mind fuck.
Lenore says called the stream up on her parents' TV, by the way.
Hey, now you can see everything bigger. And Shirtless Yoda just got into the chat. Hello, peoples. Hello, Shirtless Yoda.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening from the slightly dark side of Africa at this point in time, because it's 7 at night.
To your point, though, Tank. Interesting that you put that out there, because Dylan told me last night as he was reading Adobe Kroger that he appreciated that the book was sincere, that there wasn't a lot of snarky quips or deconstruction in it. And that's one thing I am trying to avoid. I am sick to death of ironic deconstruction, of genre-savvy characters, of people winking at you saying, this is stupid and we know it. No, none of the characters in my book will ever do anything of the kind. To them, everything is real. Everything has stakes and weight. And
that was that was, I mean, that was something when I went back and watched Invader Zim. It's I've commented this, but something that kind of gobsmacked me about that cartoon was that it's a crazy world, and there's not a single character that has that normal person reaction to it. Nobody's self-aware. Nobody's the straight man. The world is crazy, and so is everyone in it.
There's not a single wink or a nod to anything. And I think, Dan, that now that you've gone pretty much through a lot of my scribbles as well, my Madden scribbles, I think you've seen that I played whatever humor I put in there, I play it straight. I'm trying to make this as a believable world as possible. And I think people will appreciate what I've got coming up as well. I will say that this much spoiler. I am working on a Mythoverse related project as well, but that is very far off into the future.
That's okay. We're in this for the long haul. This is a marathon,
Yes,
not a
yes,
sprint, etc., etc.
Yeah,
So
no, this is a marathon for us all.
yeah, and that's how you get over the finish line, slow and steady. And to your point about the humor, yes, humor is important because you can't just be tense and turned all the way up to 11 all the time. You need to release that tension from time to time, and people do that. But yeah, I'm not gonna do any of that fourth wall breaking. I'm not gonna do any of that. This is what would normally happen in an adventure story, so I'm gonna flip that around. That kind of stuff. Authors like Patrick Rothfuss like live and breathe on those tropes, and I'm so tired of them. I think Joss Whedon kind of got the ball rolling, popularizing it with the Buffy series, which I still love. But yeah, there's a hell of a lot of that in it, and I guess I kind of have a love-hate relationship with that show now because of how it's essentially infected almost all popular entertainment to the point where someone cannot put on a suit without saying, "Hey, this is dumb." It's like, no, your character doesn't think it's dumb. It makes sense in the world. And that's why I think Cobra Kai worked so well.
I think that's one of the reasons why people have such fond memory of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films is that there wasn't any kind of snarky humor about it.
I think about the most snark it got was like Peter's first costume because it looked bad and it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know how they didn't bother to explain how he made the movie quality costume? He just suddenly had it, and because it worked.
It was kind of cool seeing him sort of put it together in Amazing Spider-Man, though.
Yeah,
like he sort of learned as you could see he was learning as he went.
Sure.
It's the human spider.
God,
Are you kidding me?
The joke was, but the joke was it was supposed to be bad.
I know.
Yeah, and Bruce Campbell, essentially said, "Oh, that sucks. You're Spider-Man," and that's how he got his name.
But yeah,
it's hard to hate Bruce Campbell.
I love.
I know, but like I said, I know people shit on Amazing Spider-Man, and there are things about it that are legitimately bad, though. But that whole sequence when you saw Peter little by little improve his suit, I thought that was good because it kind of showed it kind of showed how out of his depth he was.
Yeah, superficially, it was very entertaining. It just wasn't built on as strong a foundation as Raimi's films were. His suit looked great. His quips were great. The way he fought was great. All those quick little rapid fire web spins. That's how I always pictured him fighting. And that was fine. That was fine. That
slow motion scene with Stan Lee.
Oh yeah, the slow motion scene with Stan Lee. That was his best cameo ever, I think. Yeah. But on the whole, there were too many tonal clashes with it, and the plot was trying to be gritty and real while at the same time you have a giant lizard man. Trying to turn everyone else into lizards. It was just, it was too hard to swallow.
Yeah.
You got to go silly or you got to go serious. It's hard to do both and pull it off. Very few people can do that.
And like I said, there were things where it did some things wrong, but it had some merit.
Yeah.
Remember when every movie, before, every superhero movie, for around the time The Dark Knight came out, everything had to be kind of like that. But then the MCU, everything now has to be jokey and quippy. Ooh-hoo. It feels like even when you read a comic, it feels like there's just nothing sincere about this. Honestly,
it's kind of a thing in entertainment when pop culture moves too far in one direction, there's inevitably a swing in the opposite. That's just how it works. That's just how it is.
Yeah, the correction becomes an overcorrection, and for the most part, that has happened because for a while, superhero movies, partly thanks to the Nolan Batman movies, were grim, dark. They're like
Right.
almost too grimdark, almost 40k levels. Not completely to the point where it becomes hilarious, but it nearly got to that point, and the overcorrection came. But also think back to the MCU film. Think back to the first two Iron Man movies.
Yeah, they weren't that jokey. They weren't.
They hit that sweet spot.
I think
Yeah.
even going all the way to Winter Soldier, it wasn't all super jokey
Yeah,
and quippy.
it wasn't. The problem is they're bordering on camp now, like the Adam West Batman levels.
And there is a place for that, but not it doesn't belong everywhere.
Not every single film. Not every
Honestly,
single film needs to be grim dark. Not every single film needs to be campy.
You know, as much as I don't want to give the, as much as I hate having to give this film shit because I legitimately did think it was good, but I do think it also set that jokey precedent for the MCU way more than Avengers did, and it's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh.
Yeah, well,
I will fully agree.
The reason Suicide Squad is the way it was because of Guardians of the Galaxy. That's why there are all those pop songs in it and all those colorful like titles and everything. Yeah. That was entirely due to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, like I said, like it's not. I mean,
so
I can't. I'm not gonna hold it. I'm not gonna hold it against Guardians. It did nothing wrong, but it's like
their use of pop music worked because it was part of the plot. Like the pop music was on his mother's tape, and we find out at the end that his mother gave him that tape, and it's a very big important part of Star-Lord as a character. But then you have Suicide Squad that just dumped all these very obvious thematically appropriate songs like "You Don't Own Me" over Harley Quinn and all that nonsense. And that music was not integral to the plot. It was just, here's a bunch of pop music because there was pop music in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, no, that was Suicide Squad was just hopping on a bandwagon, and it showed.
Oh well, that's the way. It goes.
But still, I mean, like people give the current MCU shit for aping Whedon's style, and it deserves it. Deserves it because he did set that precedent in a way, but I honestly think Guardians contributed to it much more.
Yeah, but back when Guardians of the Galaxy was released, they were doing different genres for different movies, such as you had, for example, the first two Captain America movies were basically, you had one as a superhero war movie and the other as a superhero political thriller.
The second one kind of came off more as like a spy thriller, honestly.
Yeah, that's the same. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a spy thriller, and Thor was like a fantasy adventure movie. And
well, the first one was with Thor: The Dark World. If the Thor name was not attached to it, you could have fooled me into thinking that was a Warhammer movie. I will die on that hill.
I will support you on that hill.
Well, I actually haven't walked. I have not watched Thor 2 since it was in the theater. So
because the thing with I don't know, it's like I don't have a look. Okay, MCU is sci-fi fantasy. Okay, I can accept that. But I think Thor: The Dark World skewed too heavily into science fiction. Like, it went from making the Asgardians gods to just advanced aliens. Like, that just took something away.
They took away the mystique of the characters.
And then I guess the justification was, but we want it to be more consistent. Like, it's all science fiction. And then you put out Doctor Strange. How do you explain that one away?
They spend the whole first act mocking someone who's empirical and scientifically minded, that he doesn't know anything about the universe because it's magic now.
Reasons.
Reasons, exactly. Because we have to have Doctor Strange, because people know Doctor Strange.
That was one thing that kind of puzzled me about like Endgame, when they're complaining about or they're talking about how, oh, time travel isn't just like straightforward and back. You jump between timelines and whatnot. But then you have Doctor Strange, who can just like actually manipulate time. And it's like, well, which one is it? Is it just you can't scientifically go back in time, but magically it's okay?
I don't. And this is something that always
bugged
me. This is something that always bugged me about Marvel and DC. You got science fiction and you got fantasy, and the two just seem to be in conflict with each other all the time. It's like, I'm of the opinion, you can do science fiction fantasy. Final Fantasy has been doing that since its inception, and it's been doing that well. But
Warhammer.
But I think the thing with those is that both Final Fantasy and Warhammer is that they don't put the sci-fi and fantasy elements at odds. It's just you have magical creatures in a world that has scientific progress
it's
rather than trying to explain
kind
the
of
magic
futuristic
via
world.
science.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I mean, fuck, even Shadowrun does that. It's like it has magic in a cyberpunk dystopia.
Hell, even I'm trying to do that. Whether or not I succeed, we'll have to wait and see if people are receptive.
Well,
But
in Shadowrun's case, it was magic all of a sudden resurged, and like people became goblinized and turned into orcs and goblins, and they were always that way. They were just hidden, by the lack of magic, and then all of a sudden magic
the
returns.
breach when magic flooded into the world, those traits became dominant.
Right. So it was still scientifically explained, but there was still magic in it. And all of a sudden, you have magical elves who would plug into the net. Oh, and they didn't know about Wi-Fi yet, so obviously you had to plug directly into a terminal. And this was the future. It's funny. It's funny to read those old books now to see what they.
To be honest, I honestly kind of miss that though. It's like that whole brain jacking shit. I don't know. I just think that's a much cooler aesthetic.
It was a really fun setting. I had several campaigns in it. And I played obviously an elf hacker because that was what everyone wanted to be.
Yeah, but like I said, you got like settings like Shadowrun, Warhammer, and Final Fantasy, which do science fiction fantasy well, and then you got Marvel and DC, which seem to have them at odds because you have this setting where you have superheroes, you have shit going on in space, and it's like with the Guardians of the Galaxy or the Nova Corps or the Green Lanterns. And then you got on Earth, you got all the superheroics like with the Avengers or the Justice League, and then at the same time, you've also got supernatural shit like with the with the various like with Ghost Rider, Hellblazer. I mean, the fucking list goes on, and it's just like it just does not feel like it. It doesn't feel cohesive. It feels like you got a whole bunch of elements that just are not gelling.
Well, yeah, because they like make they make this entire universe over like what 80 years, and like they don't set up like an established like rule of how this works. They just kind of make it up how it, like as it goes on and things get.
Now they do. Now, in fairness, they both do kind of have an excuse for this. Well, these universes were never originally intended to be shared.
Yeah, that's true.
I think their first major crossover was decades into their existence, like Secret Wars. It's the first time they were all together.
I think what gives us an advantage is that we plan like this thing from the we planned this thing from the start, and
that was kind of the thing also with the Valiant universe. Like that was also the thing with the original Valiant universe, is that it was a singular cohesive vision. And there was a lot more thought put into it.
Lenore says, on a random note, a tweet I made less than 24 hours ago of 1,200 likes, and I'm like, which tweet? Drop it in the link. Drop it in the chat. We'll look at it and see if it's worthy of 1,200 likes.
Another quote from another famous author that also tends to guide my writing is the much abused one from Arthur C. Clarke. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Oh yeah,
I mean think about how a medieval person would view a light bulb. Like how would they explain that?
Or even if somebody is fairly scientifically inclined, go just back to the space race and just show them a modern smartphone.
Pretty much. Okay, Lenore dumped her tweet in the chat. I'm gonna open it.
Yeah, I'm gonna show it here real quick.
Yeah, I would, but potato internet, so I either have to use Discord or watch the chat.
Oh,
yes.
Yes, third world internet.
No. I'm looking at Lenore's tweet right now.
Yeah, it says getting real tired of women who don't understand what stylized art is running their mouth and speaking like they have the authority to pretend that all women think the same way their dumbass does. It's getting old. If you don't like it, it isn't for you. Move the fuck along. I'm beginning to think that the pendulum is swinging back, finally. It just went too far in one direction. And now we have Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr and Owen Benjamin pushing back.
Yeah, and even, and I think the spur to that is this last week's whole thing where everybody just started dogpiling onto J. Scott Campbell again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, for what, you gotta envy J. Scott Campbell. He's built up such a career with either the big two, and he's such a hot ticket item. There's no way they would cave. They could not afford to lose him.
Hey, Lenore, have one more like from me. There you go.
Yeah.
I did not like that tweet.
Somebody just add me in that so I can just like it as well because reasons.
Yeah,
right.
I'm
also going to retweet it. So here, have another retweet.
Yeah, and J. Scott Campbell, he clapped back. He actually.
Yeah. I hear you, Dylan. That man just keeps on trucking. He doesn't back down. He doesn't.
Yeah, and Richard Pace was agreeing with him. Richard Pace, the freaking.
The guy who's got me blocked because I was blockchain because I followed certain
he blocked me too.
Very controversial YouTubers back in the day. Although, considering I did find it funny that on that subject, I was recently unblocked by Aubrey Citizen.
Okay.
Wow.
Why would you want to follow him anyway?
Yeah.
I don't follow him. It's somebody retweeted his tweets onto my timeline. I was like, okay, I was blocked. Now I'm not. Good day. Moving on.
Well, this whole J. Scott Campbell thing is important because we are seeing creators suddenly start to push back against this, and they're seeing the positive response they get from it. That hey, we're not alone, and being attacked like this actually helps you find your tribe, and you find people that will support you. And it's very heartening to know that you're not alone. And one of the SJW's biggest tactics is they try to isolate you from support and scare people into supporting you, lest they be the next target.
Yeah, I think that's why they were so powerful for so long, because that was their tactic, and people weren't realizing, hey, there are people just in the same kind of situation that agree with you.
I don't know. I don't know. I'd hate to be the guy who finds the black cloud in the silver lining, but I just think J. Scott Campbell's in just a position where he can be protected. If it was someone smaller, they'd be left to the wolves.
Oh yeah.
No.
Maybe, but they've been trying to cancel him for a long time.
Yeah, but is Marvel going to let him go? They can't afford to.
Well, why not? Companies let people go all the time because they're terrified of being dragged on social media.
He's too valuable.
Doesn't matter how valuable a person is. If the controversy has gotten too great, and it's been shown quite a few times, they kick them to the curb. It's like
over and over again. Yeah, we see it time and time again.
Too controversial. We can't have him around anymore, and it's good nuts.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether or not the accusations are true. Look at what happened to Vic Mignogna. He lost everything. And he was a high esteemed voice actor, and the accusations, were all baseless.
Well, he did the dumbest thing possible. He gave up ammunition.
Yeah, we could talk all day about this, but I don't want to sidetrack it too much. But Lenore, congratulations on this tweet, and thank you for providing further evidence that things are getting better, however slowly. So, excellent.
Yeah. It's good news, though. I'm happy.
It is good news. Things will get better. You just got to keep telling the truth. Don't cut up. Do not disavow anybody when you are pressured to. If you're friends with someone, then you got to be loyal to them, and people will notice that, and people will find strength in that, and people will start to push back more and more once they see other people push back and come out okay. And
that's
the way that you can come out okay is to not turn your back on someone when they need you, and that includes if you're afraid of being the next target. You can't be. You've got to stand up for those that have had your back in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, Tank. I'm sorry.
It's just something that's deeply ingrained in my personal code of ethics is you stand with friends and family. You just do that. It's regardless. If you know that what's being thrown at them is baseless, no matter how nasty it gets, I'll stand with you guys. I don't care who says what because I know who you guys are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, as I've told Matt and Brett, the one thing I cannot abide is disloyalty. So, if you are, then I will drop you faster than a bad habit. But I'm
sorry, what?
I am
broke up.
No. The one thing I always tell Matt and Brett is the one thing I cannot abide is disloyalty. Like I am the most patient and supportive individual, but all I ask in return is that you don't abandon me when I need you. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. And it's not too much to ask. So
I'll drink to that.
yeah. All right. This is going to be a 3-hour stream, and we're coming up on the end of the second hour. So I'm going to go ahead and decide on a game to play over the last hour. And since I am literally hanging on by my fingernails, I'm going to play something that's a bit more relaxing. So I'm going to try Stardew Valley.
Has it been 2 hours already?
Yeah, it's quarter to 2.
Yeah, it's weird.
Quarter to 2. Yeah, time flies when you're having fun conversations.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, I just hope to see. I'm just excited to see how much this whole franchise will grow, this whole universe, and see who else we can bring on. I mean, it's exciting, and I'm very happy that I get to be a part of it.
And we're glad to have you. And as I've told Matt and Brett, the reason that we can bring other people on is because we're getting things done ourselves. So before you're able to help anyone, you have to be the kind of person that gets things done, and I will not work with anyone that can't get things done. So if you're working with us, it's because I respect your skill and your talent and your work ethic. That goes for Lenore, that goes for Matt and Brett, that goes for Leandro and Ginger and Vic and Bethy and Antonella, especially Antonella. Holy hell, she is probably one of the most prompt, hardworking, and reliable artists I've ever had the privilege to work with. For those who don't know, she draws the Mytho Chibi strip, and she turns them around within hours of receiving the script. She has a sketch ready for us to approve. And, just hours after that, sometimes she has it fully inked and lettered.
Yeah.
So she's another blessing, and I could go on and on and on. Raven's enthusiasm in producing our dating sim artwork has been energizing, and I cannot wait to see where that goes, if anywhere. But I definitely want to see it go somewhere because I think it's going to be a hilarious bit of fun. And I wanted to thank the Rags team especially for being a very strong example for what can be accomplished if you just stay true to your vision and you build a strong community and take your time and don't sell out for the big dollars.
I kind of think we owe a lot of people a thanks, not just Brian and Trent.
Well, yeah, I was getting to other people, but go ahead and say who you think we should add.
For one, we got our publisher, Wicked Publishing, who gave us our opportunity.
That's right. Wicked Publishing, two of the hardest working guys I've had the privilege of associating with. They are not only publishers and working towards distributing, but they are also creators themselves. So they understand and appreciate everything that goes into making these things happen, which is why they're great to work with. And they're fun to talk to. And they're putting out their first magazine this coming up October, well, in a couple weeks, I assume. And most of us have work in it. There's going to be a Rags interview in it. Salem's interview with us should be in it. Matt has a short story in it. I have, I think, 15 pages of a sequential story called Call Me Chuck in it, which is a spinoff of my Molly Beans webcomic. And a lot of other cool things. And interestingly enough, the cover was drawn by Ari, one artist that we love working with, who's done a lot of fantastic Warhammer 40k themed artwork for Tank and others. And it was colored by Paolo, who is a friend of Leandro Panganaban, the penciler for Adobe. And this is actually a perfect opportunity for me to segue over into our next month's cosplay themes. So let me go over here. I have up on the screen here the first of a series of Mythoverse ladies cosplay that we're going to have out for the Halloween season next month. Just about as soon as Leandro completed work on Adobe, he said, okay, what should I work on now? Make sure you let me know when issue 2 will be ready so I can set aside time for it. And I said, okay, great. I have a series of cosplay illustrations I'd like you to do, one each of the Mythoverse ladies in a group shot. And this one here is the one for Adobe Kroger, and it is, as you can see, John Wick, which I cannot wait to see colored. It's based on the first John Wick poster, where he's kind of walking at you with his tie blowing, and he's got the gun with the silencer, and I think Adobe pulls it off well. And as Brett has mentioned, this confirms that she is a D cup. So there you go.
Oh, come on.
yeah, Adobe's well endowed. That's all. So this is the first
laughter.
This is the first of many. Brett and Matt have given me what they would like Althea and Maeve to dress up as. I believe Maeve will be Buffy, welding the Slayer scythe, and I don't have the chat open in front of me right now. So who did you want Althea to be, Matt?
I figure that since I already went with John Constantine with Beth, Zatanna.
Okay, yes, that's perfect. It's perfect with
Okay,
with the fishnets and the top hat and the tails.
Yep.
Oh, that's gonna be great.
Wait, so is this an art contest?
Oh no, this is just some cosplay pinups that we're gonna offer up as prints in our merch store and on other pieces of merch, whatever we happen to decide to put it on. And there's also going to be a group shot of the three ladies that's patterned after that still from what was it? Friendly Guys?
The Nice Guys.
The Nice Guys, yeah. That's it. Yeah, where there's Ryan Gosling, the young girl, and
Jared Butler.
No, it's Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, yeah. Adobe will be Russell Crowe, and
I don't get how I mixed up Russell Crowe and Jared Butler when they don't look that similar.
Well, they kind of do. They both have the similar facial hair and haircut, and they're both.
Yeah, but one's Australian, the other. No, actually, Russell Crowe's a Kiwi, I think. One's a Kiwi and the other's Scottish.
Nice. Oh well, but yeah, it's gonna be them because that cast in that film has roughly the same energy as our trio, so it's gonna be an adorable little piece, I think.
There should be a drawing of them, but they're like dressed as the characters from Reservoir Dogs.
Well, we kind of have that with John Wick here.
Yes.
We kind of have that with John Wick here.
Sure.
And John Wick is canon one of her favorite movies later on, so. Yeah. All right.
No, seriously, I'm envious because that just sounds so amazing. It's just like, why did my first project have to have such a massive flipping cast?
Yeah.
7 characters are like, what?
Yeah, you can tell this is why I settled on one lead character. Thank you.
I have a main character with a supporting cast.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a supporting cast in Adobe Kroger, but it's mainly about her journey. So
yeah, second project's pretty much I've learned my lesson.
It's not many writers can do an ensemble and keep everything straight in their head.
I managed to keep it straight, but I've developed a system on how to write it straight, just not to boggle it down. I split it up.
yeah, it's the epic fantasy problem. When you go to write an epic fantasy novel, there's typically like a dozen or more point of view characters and a dozen or more plot threads. And being able to keep them all intertwined and have them all be important to the story and have them all be paid off by the end of the story is very challenging. That's why a lot of authors don't do it. It just takes too long, and authors have to make a living, so they write shorter stories.
That is why I have a very, very, very rigid law set up. That's pretty much the first thing that was established.
You know, as much people give George R. R. Martin shit, I will say this: he was kind of wise to break up the chapters based on POV for each character. So he maintains a large cast without having every single one feel like they get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, he actually tells you which point of view it is at the beginning of every chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, okay, this is this guy. Okay, now we're back over here.
This is Jon Snow. This is Daenerys Targaryen. This is Tyrion Lannister. This is Jaime Lannister.
Right.
He lets you know. He lets you know whose perspective you're seeing.
Exactly.
Funnily enough, I didn't even know the man's work, and once again, I think Dan can attest to that. I pretty much follow the same kind of style there with my sci fantasy thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'll be right back. I have Stardew Valley up on the screen. I'll be back in about 5.
And there goes the dogs. Just let me know if you guys can hear the dogs. I'll go quiet them down.
There's a dog.
Yeah, I can't hear anything.
Yet.
I think you're good.
Yet. That's all I'm saying. Is just let me know if you start hearing them.
So I'm guessing I missed the discussion of Adobe Kroger Volume 1, or was there not one?
But I think the most that got talked about was where me and Matt's books were as far as progress on. Hey, look, there's Raven.
Oh, and we talked about the skyscrapers.
Oh yeah, there are no skyscrapers in Aberdeen. Hi, Raven.
I guess kind of this is going pretty far back in the conversation, but when you were talking about how there was a sincerity to Adobe Kroger, one of the things that kind of jumped out at me when I read the issue was like she has a certain disability. I don't know. I don't want to spoil things for anyone who cares. But she has a certain disability, and like it really caught me off guard that it was there because I haven't read or listened through the original audiobook, so I went in completely blind. And so I was reading through and it's like, oh yeah, there's this thing that makes it hard for Adobe to properly cast her spells. And
yeah, it was news.
I thought that was really interesting, and how like there wasn't much attention brought to it outside of like it can screw her up in a pinch. I feel like if it's were like a mainline comic series, an identity might kind of be made out of that. Like, oh, this is a person with X issue, but it was very much like in Adobe Kroger, it was just something that the character has to work through instead of being super blown out of proportion, which I appreciated.
That's probably one of the main reasons I'm drawn to indie comics. You have fully fleshed out characters, and all of them, you know, they have their own character quirks, their own personalities, everything, and a trait does not become the entire reason for being.
Yeah, I think a lot of pop culture nowadays kind of falls into the trap of this character has some innate quality and that is the character, instead of this is something that cannot be changed about the character or must be worked through, but that doesn't define who they are.
Yes.
I wish
you wanted to say, Dylan?
Yeah. I was pretty much saying what shirtless Yoda was saying. Also, when I was reading it, I got very like Ghost in the Shell kind of vibes to it.
So I'm not the only one who thought that. I literally tweeted that out.
Yes.
There
yeah,
is a very large
I-
similarity to the opening there, but that was
I don't-
coincidental.
Yeah, I was 99% sure Dan was not going for a direct homage there.
It wasn't, but it's a cool way to open your action story, to have them on top of buildings jumping down.
Oh yeah, certainly. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I hadn't known that, well, because I'm not on Twitter. But when I read it, I initially gone to Dan. I'm like, I got Ghost in the Shell vibe from this.
And I'll take that as a compliment, because that's a great series.
Yeah. Oh yeah, certainly. I've been trying to watch Standalone Complex. I mean, I just can't seem to really get into it. But I mean, I'll have to keep trying.
Good luck when you try to watch Ghost in the Shell Arise, then.
Oh God.
I honestly did not get Standalone Complex. To me, it felt like Cyberpunk CSI.
For me it works, but it's one of those things again. Taste is subjective, and that is what makes it wonderful.
Right.
Because I don't. And my taste does not include CSI. I never got the appeal of that franchise. I never got the appeal of that franchise.
I mean, yeah, I can understand it. I mean, I used all the time. I used to watch a show of Criminal Minds. It was really interesting to watch. I watched the series Psychopaths, which is, I believe, is pretty inspired by Ghost in a Shell in some sense.
It was one of the producers is the director of Ghost in the Shell.
Psychopaths gave me Minority Report vibes.
Oh yeah, with basically the thought crime thing.
Yeah, it's kind of. It's just more like how they have all this predictive technology.
if you have the wrong feelings, then that's a crime. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it probably wasn't intentional, but yeah, it was kind of predictive.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of science fiction or sci-fi I really like, or cyberpunk themed things. Like, I'm playing Grand Theft Auto. Hold on. I love Deus Ex. I played Mankind Divided. I really like that game, but I really feel like Human Revolution was a lot more memorable. And just, I think a lot of the themes when they talk about the news and stuff and how it's essentially fake news, I'm like, oh, this game came out years ago and it just feels so relevant. And just, I mean, yeah, I kind of started rambling, but
No, we get it.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, strong Ghost in the Shell vibes from Adobe, at least that building scene, or when she crashed into it, too. Essentially.
Okay, now we gotta do a cosplay of Adobe as Kusanagi then.
I already drew a 2B from Nier Automata as Kusanagi.
Yeah.
I'll have to add that to the queue for
Wait.
Leandro.
Time for me to share that again, then.
She probably would look the part more than Scarlett Johansson, at least.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I mean, I didn't hate the movie. I thought there were pretty good qualities of it. I just kind of thought. I mean, I wasn't like offended at the casting. I just thought it was a weird choice.
I did kind of think the twist was actually pretty ballsy.
It was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the twist was pretty ballsy. That she, originally was a Japanese girl, and there are people who were saying that makes it so much worse. There are
Yes.
people like,
You got they're not they were not paying attention, but they weren't. That just shows they were not paying attention to the themes the movie was trying to get at, like how your identity can essentially be rewritten for you
If
when
you
you give
lose
it away.
your identity, you become white.
But like I don't know. It's just like actually, I don't know. I think there was a really good idea there, to be honest. And there was a way they could have actually done this better. Instead of doing the whole RoboCop thing, how about they just get Matoko? How about like Matoko approaches like that fucking corporation when she's just at her most vulnerable and she just needs like a way out, and they just have her like sign a contract. It's a little bit like like a little bit like to the opening of Dollhouse. If I don't remember if anyone saw that, but yeah, like they have her say okay. They just hand her a contract and say sign this and we'll give you a new start. And and you see where I'm getting at. She essentially signs her identity away, and it's theirs and it becomes their property.
Hey, it was still a better RoboCop movie than the RoboCop reboot.
That is true.
Yeah, but still, I mean, but think about that. I mean, like I bet just kind of think about that kind of metaphor, but like how like when you sign a contract, what you're signing away.
Right. I think
Like,
the best RoboCop reboot we ever got was essentially the two most recent Deus Ex games, Human Revolution, and it's essentially RoboCop, just not.
Yeah, but still, actually, that still kind of works because, like, if I remember correctly, Adam was under contract with them, so they were well within the legal right to do that to him.
I never asked for this.
No, but you signed on the dotted line, Adam.
Right, but
good games though.
Throughout that game, he just kept saying, "I never asked for this."
It's like I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Yeah.
Calm down, Dante.
Adam Jensen, you actually did ask for this essentially by signing the contract.
Yeah.
Surf Industries did this to me. Yeah, bitch.
Yeah, but with your approval.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
it's sad,
isn't it? But I mean, like, when you think about that, though, just how scary is that? Is that like the idea that how scary is that idea that you can sign your life away to some faceless corporation and they can do with it whatever they want?
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he wasn't expecting to be attacked.
I think it's very valid for what Google's trying to do too.
Yeah, I mean, if they'd...
you know what? Think of just to quickly segue onto something that's relevant to that topic. Think of the social credit system that they've implemented in China.
Yeah.
The social credit system. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Certain people would love nothing more than that kind of power right now to just completely cancel you from being able to participate in society.
And to a certain extent,
they talk about how much they hate this. Nazis. They literally want things that essentially make them Nazis.
Well, technically, it's communists doing it.
Are more communist, yeah. I believe the over in Soviet Russia, they were putting Jewish people in camps too.
They were putting everyone in camps.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been initially that they were putting Jews in the camps because the Bolsheviks were a Jewish group in the Soviet or in Russia. But I could definitely believe them at a later point, like after Stalin, being like, haha.
After he purged everybody.
Right, because people, they failed to mention, stuff like that when people were like, "Oh, I'm a socialist, I'm a communist." Acknowledging that will just outright.
Hold on, door.
if you acknowledge that, you outright admit that the communists were a bunch of evil fucks. Just yeah. So that's why it never gets brought up. Because convenient. Because capitalism.
That's nuts.
up. Socialism and communism has not worked. Honestly, and the people who think it does, like, you're a clown. You're a complete clown.
Like even when they try to hold up like examples like say Scandinavia, well,
Those aren't socialists. They have a large
I'm not-
welfare system, but they still have
They
market
are-
economies.
To just break that down, it's a capitalist society with socialistic style programs that are run in countries where everybody actually contributes to the GDP. Everybody pays their tax. They are homogenous nations, and they have small populations.
Also, a lot
Or
of
in the
their
case-
defense budget is footed by the United States. There's that too.
also in the case of Norway where they got oil.
So they have things that could back up and support those programs. However, larger countries, i.e., the rest of Europe and my own country and other countries, that doesn't work. Yeah.
Well, the key word is homogenous. If everyone has roughly the same values and the same, nationality,
It doesn't have to be the other one that everybody keeps throwing about. It's just if everybody has the same ideals in wanting the same things for their country.
No. Yeah, there has to be an agreed upon set of values for it to work.
Exactly. When everybody assimilates to what the country is working towards. And I think we veered too far. I'm sorry.
it's all right. We're in the game.
Who's
segment.
excited for Mythics and Changeling?
Yeah, let's talk about Mythics and Changeling. So
Yes.
so
Yeah,
Well,
there's no
we know-
politics there, so.
Convenient segue.
Yes, Matt. How far is Mythics? Damn it.
The book is done.
The book is done. Yeah. After the stream today, my plan is to go over it, report anything that I think needs to be edited and or changed, if anything, and continue prepping the digital file. And if everything's good to go, I can start sending it out forthwith.
We need to build a wall around the changelings.
Come on, I know Brett's our usual target, but we can't bully him now. He's about to release a comic.
Yeah. Brett's
Why not be nice to him?
Brett's worked his ass off.
You always try to get away from the political shit, you still drag us back into it.
Also, speaking of not giving Brett shit, where's Organite?
Hey,
Oh, thank God he's not here.
Hey, what's relevant is about the Mythoverse.
I just used my Donald Trump voice.
It's a huge impression. It's tremendous.
It's tremendous.
Raven's in the chat geeking out about Maeve.
Yeah,
We're going to build the wall.
I think it's fair to say which one is her favorite. Seems to be Maeve is everyone's favorite.
Not necessarily. Let's not go there.
Well, I don't know. I have not read Mythics and Changeling, so I cannot judge. So far, my favorite is Adobe, but that's the only comic I've read.
I don't know. It's just like
I mean,
just the vibe I get. No, the vibe I get is that she seems to be the most popular one right now.
Yeah, she's the one I've drawn the most. Out of all the Mythoverse girls, I've drawn Maeve the most.
Yes, we know that because of the Dylan. No, she's 14.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was about to say. That concerns me that Maeve is the one that Dylan has drawn the most.
I age her up. Like, if I do anything like that, I always make sure to age her up. Because we have an idea of what she's going to look like when she's older.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let's just... I can do that.
Well, yeah, there will be. I'm going to say this right now, though. Regardless of who ends up being the most popular, we're not promoting one above the others. There will be no mascots.
Oh, come on.
Nah.
Marvel-
Everybody's the mascot because everybody's in this together.
When you think Marvel, you think Spider-Man. When you think DC, you think Batman.
And why do you think Spider-Man and Batman? Because they have 50, 60 years of awesome stories behind them. We're not going to launch.
Well-
we're not going to launch a mascot before we know who likes what.
I'm also going to point out that people have their individual favorites. Such you don't just think about Batman with DC. You also think about Superman and Wonder Woman.
I know, but it's like
Batman is better.
I know you want to promote your character, Brett, but we're not going to.
it's not. I know, but I'm just saying it's a fact. Those are Batman and Spider-Man. Even if they are essentially the mascots for DC and Marvel.
And
Well,
they
mascots
became that same way Mario became the mascot for Nintendo because they were in good products. They didn't start out to say, "Hey, Mario's our mascot." That's what Sega and Sony did with Sonic and Bandicoot. But
Hey,
with Mario, with Mario, it happened organically, and that's how it's going to happen with us.
The Crash games were pretty good. Most of them.
They were fine, but he was launched as a mascot from the get-go.
Yeah, but it's
Brett, just so you know, good mascots happen organically.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm not. I know.
We'll
I'm
put her book out. We'll put merch out, and we'll see what
Mhm.
happens. If people like her the most, they like her the most. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah,
But we're not going to tell people this is the popular one before her book's even out.
We all
No.
know that Nerd Wonder, her plushie is the mascot.
Yeah, definitely. That's more of a mascot.
Ouch.
In any case, I am super excited for both Mythics and Changeling. Adobe Kroger left a very, very, very good taste in my mouth. So
Great. I'm excited for them too, and I have them right here in front of me. So they're all good books, and they're going to launch a great series in every case. I think.
You know, I had this really kind of, I don't want to say a weird experience. I don't have a way to describe it, but it was like I went back and looking through the letter proofs that Ginger had finished. It's not even done, and there was, I don't know. I was just looking at what got done and looking at some of the moments that were written in that book, and I actually felt like crying at certain moments, just because they were that powerful.
Yeah, I got that way when I listened to Addison Peacock's narration,
Oh yeah,
because
that was real.
because she made words I was all too familiar with to the point where I didn't even notice them anymore. Brand new and powerful in ways I didn't think were possible. So I totally
is
get
this
it.
for the Adobe Kroger novel?
Yeah, the audiobook, which is I think is the recommended experience. I mean, I think it's a fine story, but if you don't hear her read it, you're missing out on like 50% of the experience.
I normally prefer reading stuff, and this was my first audiobook that I actually listened to, and I will wholeheartedly recommend the Adobe Kroger audio novel.
Thank you.
I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Alabaster says, I come back from the bathroom and already there's jealousy and envy amongst the creators.
Hey,
Well,
there isn't. Brett just says, "Hey,
No,
my
it's just
character is the
Brett.
most popular one," and I'm like, "Brett,
It's just Brett.
pump the brakes. Her book's not even out yet. Relax."
I'm just taking a survey of the landscape is all.
That is true. I mean, if I take a look around the general Twitter landscape, even with everything that has been shared around, most of the people that if you put the shots of all three the trio up next to each other, I will put it down that a good 75% of people will gravitate towards Maeve.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the artists we commissioned, they said, like Moe and Melting Core, both of them said they loved him doing Maeve the most.
It's because it's a cute
Well,
character.
maybe we should call it the Mythoverse then.
Not as
No,
catchy.
we can't capitulate to Brett.
Well,
The Mythoverse
If he becomes
works
too
fine.
powerful, we can't give him shit anymore.
that's clearly what Brett wants. So maybe we should just do that.
It's over, Dan. I have the high ground.
He's Irish. He need whiskey.
He's trying to take over.
You underestimate my power.
He's an Irish person. Feed him whiskey.
Jeez. We love you, Brett.
Nah, we're just joshing you, Brett. I'm sure
I
everyone's
know.
gonna love the book.
Oh my god.
Fun times. Fun times.
You know, Brett brought up how he was expecting more people to draw Maeve's mom, and I only just recently got around to drawing Maeve's mom. I'll have to put up.
Well, Brett's thing is he kind of hints at what he wants you to do without telling you to do it directly. Like he says,
sometimes he regrets the outcome.
He says, "Please don't lewd Maeve," and he's perfectly happy when he gets them.
Well, my most memorable moment was everybody draws Maeve so cute. Then Zeno goes like, "Challenge accepted."
Nice.
That was not me trying to influence him. That was a legit mistake because I didn't.
Yes,
We'll say that for
mistake.
Okay, I'm posting a censored version of the drawing I did of Maeve's mom because I only just now, just recently drew her. Like he was expecting people to gravitate towards her, but no, they drew Maeve, and I was the first person to draw an adult looted Maeve.
See, I feel like when Dylan says he draws something, I think he means lewds. That's my default assumption when he says he has art.
Well,
Everything Dylan draws is smut.
You know what?
Are you sure?
He doesn't. No. I mean,
just a lot of it.
I'm joking.
Yeah, show the Allure the Fawn drawing I did. It's completely safe for work. Most of the stuff I do post is safe for work. It's only a case. I mostly just talk about looting stuff. I only loot everyone. If we're gonna be honest. You know?
No, I must say, you at least ask permission before you go down there, dude. You joke about it, but you at least ask permission. Can I do this?
Yeah. I once Nerd Wonder's human avatar. I've looted that. I asked her first. She's like, okay.
That's
but of course I never showed her the full thing. I always censored it when I showed her the drawing. But yes, there is a Nerd Wonder loot out there somewhere.
And that's when the chat died.
Oh, fuck you guys.
The chat died and Vamp wasn't even here.
But Lenore has been here.
No,
so
it's because
blame Lenore.
No, it's because there's talk of looting Nerd Wonder.
Hey, I had nothing to do with it. I am building a farm.
Yes, we all know you're innocent in this regard, Dan. It's the rest of us who are going to hell.
No, I'm already going to hell, so I'll see you there. But
oh yeah.
I didn't say. Wait, did people think I said Dan? Because I said Vamp.
No, they're just messing.
I was just saying that Dan is innocent with regards to all the talk of looting.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah,
I'm too busy harvesting parsnips to know what's going on.
You keep doing that. You don't need to worry about us.
I think I will. Thank you.
I'm thinking of going to go harvest some demon skulls and Doom again.
Oh, there you go.
Doom is fun. I've been playing through that. The 2016 or older?
2016 version. Although I do have the Doom 3 BFG edition, so I have access to the original ones as well.
I think Doom 2016 is as close to a perfect shooter as we're going to get.
I'm
Doom Eternal
skeptical about Eternal. I'm skeptical because Bethesda. Enough.
Honestly, I don't know because they made all kinds of jokes that made certain people on Twitter upset during the promotion of Doom Eternal, such as the living impaired.
More
correction, they are mortally challenged.
Oh, whatever.
How are they mortally challenged though when demons aren't even undead though?
Not after the
Fuck
Doomslayer
knows,
gets
but
through
it
with
was
them.
funny.
Who gives a shit?
No,
It was
no, when
funny.
the Doomslayer is through with him, they're
I
fully
do not
dead.
understand. Please explain to me how that works, because mortally challenged sounds like one of those things that only works with the undead, and demons are not undead.
Well, technically, they're not alive either.
You know, I have to say the perfect Doom movie adaptation would be basically John Wick versus zombies and demons.
You know,
Yeah, he
I
is
think
pretty
that
much the Doomslayer.
I think the Doom movie starring Cole Urban and The Rock got a rough bit of stick.
I mean,
Yes, there was some stupid shit in it, but it was still a fun movie.
Yeah.
Hey! At least it was better than I believe what we're getting. I mean,
Doom Annihilation. A movie so bad was disowned by Bethesda and its software.
And a movie's so bad, when it came out, nobody noticed.
No, it isn't out yet.
No, it's out.
It is? It says October
it's out.
2nd. It says that it's October 2nd.
Somebody said that it's out.
Okay, I think I'm looking this up.
Yes, I'm already on that.
I'm
Let's see who's in steps faster. I think we already know the answer to that.
Hank, Hank, hold on. You might have hold the phone. You might have a release for South Africa. October 1st in Nigeria, Matt.
But why isn't there one for America?
Because nobody
Maybe it's
wants
because nobody wanted it in America. Maybe they're just doing it in Nigeria.
Well, here's the problem with going to Nigeria. Everything's going to get stolen.
Oh, geez. Oh, no.
Oh, God, it gets even better. It's not even going into theaters. It went straight
Well,
to
yeah.
Oh, no.
We knew that already.
That is
We
how
knew
bad
that
it is.
already.
That's funny.
Okay, so on the Wikipedia account, Wikipedia page, it says October 1st, 2019 in the United States.
That's all it says.
Hey, at least they're gonna fix Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Because, like, if they went with it as it, disaster.
Hold on. Apparently, one of the characters' name is Joan Dark.
Yeah, that's the lead character, yes.
That sounds like there's a lawsuit.
Yeah, like Joanne. Yeah, like I'm like, wait a minute. That sounds
Isn't
like
Joanna Dark isn't Joanna Dark the chick from Perfect Dark?
Yes.
Yes. But from the look of the characters that were going here, I mean, Dr. Malcolm Betruger, that is Doom 3 and Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil. So, are they retreading Doom 3 storyline here? Who knows? I watched the trailer and I was just like, that dialogue is bad.
Doom 3, from what I can understand, is divisive because there are some who like it and some who hate it because it's like it's very different from what you would expect a Doom game to be like.
It's a middling title. They wanted it to be Doom, but it's somewhere along the line it slipped, knocked its head, and woke up and thought it was System Shock.
There's this game that was published by Rockstar, developed by Bungie, called Oni. And there's
Loved that game.
Wait,
so
Oni
sad
wasn't Oni a game that never saw the light of day?
No, it saw the light of day. The sequel never saw the light of day.
Yeah, the sequel never. Yeah, you could just looking at the main character, in her name was Konoko, and obviously it was sci-fi, and she both looked and her name sounded like Motoko.
Yeah, you got very strong Ghost in the Shell vibes from it, but it was a lot of fun to play. You focused, even though you had guns, it focused a lot more on the melee combat, which was a lot of fun.
I think, because the sequel is actually being developed by Rockstar themselves. I think personally, with the same kind of graphics you would see in like Red Dead Redemption 2, I would love to see like a modern take on it. Like,
what game are we talking about? I zoned out.
Oni.
Ooh, don't think I've ever heard of it. What type of game is it?
It's a Bungie
It's-
game that isn't Halo.
Third
It-
person action shooter.
Yeah, it's a third person action game with a mixture of gunplay and melee combat, although mostly melee.
I think when it comes to if they were to do you know a modern sequel to it, I think they would have to take cues from Max Payne, of sorts. Or,
I am
and
dropping a
Sleeping
link in Discord.
Dogs, right? And Sleeping Dogs. That was a cool game. It's this Square Enix game where you fight with martial art. Yeah.
You know what? I think I might have realized what I mixed up. What I might have confused Oni for. And it's not even a Bungie game. I feel stupid. I was probably thinking of StarCraft Ghost.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll be back now.
The
That was-
infamous.
That was a
you
third-person shooter. Never saw the light of day.
Yep.
Yeah. The reason why I brought up Oni because you were talking about Perfect Dark. I'm like, oh, that kind of I've never played Dark, but I'm like, you know what, that kind of just from what I've seen, it made me think of Oni because the kind of sci-fi set.
While we're still talking about video games, I think we're actually thinking about going full steam with a dating sim, but we've even talked about if we got games based off our comics. I said I would go for some that would change. It'd be something that would be like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. That's what I would go with.
For me, it would be turn-based strategy.
I don't know. I think 2D Castlevania would suit Adobe Kroger well too.
Yeah, there is squad-based combat in the comic, so I think that would lend itself really well to a Final Fantasy Tactics type thing.
Maybe Wasteland 2
Or
for
XCOM,
Adobe.
or XCOM.
Yeah, something like that. Or maybe not something so elaborate as XCOM, but like those old games like Shining Force, where even if it was just sprite-based, that would be a lot of fun, I think.
So maybe like old Fire Emblem.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I am totally down for the dating sim though.
Yeah, the dating sim will probably be the easiest thing to launch with.
Well, for one, Raven's got the software to code it.
Mythoverse TTRPG when?
Well, I think that with Mythics, it'd probably be very similar to The Witcher 3 in terms of the mechanic for the Texan.
You know what? We know what would work really well for Mythics is an adventure game.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
something like say Snatcher or Wolf Among Us.
Oh yeah, I love Wolf Among Us. Too bad season 2 got canceled.
Because Telltale went out of business.
Well, actually, no, because
Like-
Telltale is coming back, and it looks like they might be handling another season of.
2?
Yeah, because they still have the IP.
Wait! I thought Telltale went under. They
They did, and it looks like they're. I think what happened is that they did go under, and then people who work there are kind of reforming it. That's my understanding
Well,
of the
no,
situation.
They found an investor.
Hold on. Okay, so basically the story is they're reforming with new guys in charge. The new guys have nothing to do with the old Telltale.
Well then, okay, that sounds less like they went under and more like they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Yeah, and basically, there are people who are who don't like the idea because it's new. They're new guys, and they might change things up too differently. But then again, these are new guys who didn't screw everyone over.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say as long as they let the creative teams do what they need to do, then it doesn't really matter who's in charge, as long as they keep things running well.
Exactly.
I think I would like to see Telltale kind of like try and branch out more with like how their games kind of play, because it was essentially just point and click.
Yeah, you played one of their games. You've basically played them all.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, I love Wolf. I mean that was my favorite.
To be honest, I ended up feeling like I'd rather read the comic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was my introduction to Fable.
Yeah, and they also did a adaptation of The Wolf Among Us, where it's the official way of it's how it officially went in the Fables universe.
Oh, okay. Then there's the Telltale Batman. I mean, I personally like that one. I played the Game of Thrones, and I didn't really like the game. I played a lot of Telltale games. I don't know, some about that that kind of game style of games, it really appealed to me. That's only second to games with character customization. Oh my! Because like I think it's just this obsession I've had, because I played Tony Hawk's Underground like at a really young age, and that's kind of like what got me hooked on customizing characters.
Yeah, I love customizing characters.
I'm excited for Code Vein. That looks.
Weeaboo Souls.
Yes, I'm going to play Weeaboo Souls.
Just play the better non-Weeaboo Souls, Sekiro.
Well, yeah, you can't judge the one because it's not out yet.
This is accurate. And I'm joking anyways. I'm sure it'll be fine.
We'll see.
I love From Software, so
Actually, here's something I got. Now, bring it back to the Mythoverse.
We can make Maeve in Code Vein.
What I was going to tell. I think. Does anyone know that Adobe has a sister?
I didn't.
now I do.
Yep.
Well, it's mentioned
I
in the
remember.
novel, yes. And it's a source of extreme trouble for her because growing up, her older sister Riley received all of the love and affection, and Adobe thought it was her fault that she was not loved.
Yeah, I guess I can't really tell if the vibe is like if they're on good terms or not.
Well, Adobe idolizes her older sister for being a good person, basically, and she doesn't think she's worthy to be related to her, basically.
There's an inferiority complex.
Yes, very much so.
You would think there'd be some sort of resentment in that case.
Yeah, the problem is Adobe blames herself for everything, even if that is not yet. Well, she hasn't yet come to terms with the fact that her childhood was not her fault, and that's her mindset right now.
Right, because the first issue is in the past, 2012. So I can imagine. I'm sure she'll certainly have done some growing emotionally by the time she meets Maeve.
Yeah, by the time she meets Maeve, she will have gone through a cascade of horrific experiences, but also a lot of growth. And
yes.
Yeah, because here's the thing, because the vibe between Maeve and Adobe is that like Adobe picks on her like she's her older sister.
Right. And she only does it because she loves her. And
I have to wonder. Adobe idolizes her older sister. So does that? I have to wonder if she's just imitating what she thinks her sister acted like.
Well, her sister is literally like Kasumi Tendo almost in her eyes. Like she is like just this perfectly poised and altogether young lady who just gets everything correct. And the reason she plays banjo is because Riley is very good at playing the guitar, and she desperately wanted to find something she was good at that Riley was not good at. And
Do we have a design for
Riley?
Riley?
Yes, she looks much like Adobe. Her hair is longer, and she smiles more. That's how she's described.
So,
Okay,
but in a
no,
crowd, people, is it like a thing where like if they were sitting next to each other, people would think they were twins?
Sort of. I mean, Adobe's thicker than she is because she's more active. Riley's much more soft and feminine.
Okay. So Adobe had the rough childhood, but she ended up having the bigger.
Yeah, well, when children do not.
Justice after all.
Well, the whole thing about young girls going through puberty early if they experience traumatic childhood, because they think their body tells them, okay, resources are scarce, you're gonna have to attract a mate soon. So it's been observed. So maybe that's why she ended up developing, because she thought, yeah, she better attract someone soon. So there you go.
That opens a whole can of worms.
Yeah, it sure does. I'm just spitballing. That isn't really what happened, but yeah, the long and the short of it is, Riley Riley got all the love, and Adobe blames herself for that. She doesn't resent Riley for it. She blames herself for not being good enough to receive it.
I don't know. It's just what I think. It's just kind of just based on the way that Adobe treats Maeve. It's just like I have to wonder if that's just like because I have to assume like Riley's essentially her model for what an older sister should be like, and is that what she thinks how she treated her?
Oh no! By the time she meets Maeve, Adobe's pretty much processed her issues, and maybe she sees a little bit of herself in Maeve, and thus tries to help her realize that this is temporary. It gets better. So don't take everything so seriously. If I got through it, you could.
Yeah,
to be fair, Maeve's had a much easier childhood compared to Adobe.
Yeah, it doesn't mean Maeve has it easy though. I mean,
certainly not.
Just because someone else has a rougher time doesn't mean your experiences are less valid or important. And that's.
I mean, I'm pretty sure voice actress Amanda Wynn Lee would disagree with you because she this is something I just thought about because you said what you just said, but voice actress, she literally told someone what happened. Oh my god, it's freaking insane. And she was trying to negate somebody's actual experience to somebody said, like, all right, you know how people are making the Vic Mignogna thing, making him out to be like this, rapist and stuff. When most of the accusations about the hair pull stuff, they're trying to equate that to being assaulted, and then somebody says, "Hey, I actually was assaulted. People are being ridiculous." And then this person who was assaulted got shut down, for just saying, "Hey, you're being ridiculous." There goes believe all women. Am I right?
The moment it stops being convenient or that it stops being for them, everything becomes all twisted around.
I'm sorry, I couldn't. I'm sorry, Dylan. I had a hard time following any of that. It was.
Yeah, I have a problem with stuttering sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not exactly the most articulate guy either, but I don't think I understood any of that. But it's just more
basically my point was that shit. It's really awkward when we're on the live stream too. When I start losing where I was at, and I had already started, so I can't back out.
That's fine. I think imagine you're talking with friends over a beer and just relax.
But yeah,
I think what he's trying to say is that a voice actress tried to shut down a rape victim's story about Vic Mignogna as being basically not being something. If it doesn't line up with their point of view, it's thrown out completely.
I'm not familiar enough to comment. Sorry.
Me
Yeah,
neither.
we're,
I'm
we're
just.
talking about trauma, and that's what
I'm gonna,
what made me think of that. And I wanted to prove. I want to just make the point that that there are people that say the opposite of what you were just saying, and I kind of wanted to point that out.
Oh, I
And,
see.
Some people, okay, so yeah, like how I said, like Maeve had an easier childhood compared to Adobe, but that doesn't mean the bad thing. That doesn't negate the validity of it. But
yes, and I was making a comment about how somebody said the opposite of that, but then I had to go and explain it, and it was just a mess. And the guy with actual speech impediment actually
It's fine.
cleared
well, I
it
think
up.
a lot of it has to do with like people like if people are gonna have that are gonna like have the gall to say something like that. I think it just speaks to a real lack of perspective.
Right.
Yeah, well, the moment you say, like, hey, I had this difficulty in my life, and they say, suck it up, I had it much harder, that just immediately, no empathy, no curiosity, and very little humanity, frankly. And I've had many people try to pull that one on me, and I'm just like, well, now I know not to associate with you very much anymore.
Yeah, and when people try to use something like minor and say, oh, this is I don't know, just.
Well, everyone has their own traumas and histories to work through, and just because someone else had it worse, it doesn't mean that it didn't affect you the way that it did. And you don't get to tell people how they feel. That's what they're
I mean,
tell
like
you. Like you're
for
supposed to listen to them.
comparison, I mean, like I would definitely say up till now, the most traumatic thing that ever happened in my life was my parents' divorce, which sucks.
Yeah, that always sucks.
But when my dad was 10 years old, his mom got killed in a car crash by a drunk driver. So which one of us had it worse?
No, it's not a contest.
I'm not. But here's the thing: like my dad did not. Even though my dad, if you're comparing, my dad did get it rougher. He didn't. He never once told me to suck it up.
Well, because he's a good man. There you go. Your experiences are different.
Yeah.
Everyone has different life experiences, and everyone has different ways of processing traumas.
Yeah, I personally wasn't trying to negate anything. I was bringing up how somebody was actually trying to negate an actual. Oh, there's a dog scratching at the door.
But yeah, it was politically inconvenient for them to tell their story. I assume so.
Because his victim actually said, "Hey, this is all kind of ridiculous," and then she just I wasn't trying to negate anything. I wasn't trying to make some controversial point.
Yeah, it's fine. We get it. It's all good.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is, like, Adobe's not gonna tell Maeve like, stop crying. I had it worse.
No, she would never say anything like that. That would be completely out of character. And if anyone wrote her like that, I would veto it immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, just from how we talked about these characters for all these months, and I only just now read Adobe Kroger. I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of these characters and how they work about these characters, but I get a good idea about them.
Well, that's good.
And I feel like if I ever had to take the wheel, which hopefully I never will, because you guys rock at what you do. But I'm just saying, I would hope that I would if I were steering the wheel for this series, I would hope that I would do justice to these characters that you really brought to life and I think that's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for you to read the other 2 books. And
Yeah.
like I said, as soon as I wrap up this stream, I'm going to get to work on Mythics because I have all the pages for that.
Yeah, and actually, what?
Hopefully there won't be too many edits necessary, and if there aren't,
While we're on,
I'll be in contact with
while we're on
Matt.
that-
Go ahead.
while we're on that subject, Dan, like when we wrap up the stream, everyone check back in an hour because then we're gonna go on cast and watch the Hasted Gamera trilogy.
Nice, yeah. It'll be a fun hangout day.
So we're not live streaming that, right? Or are we? We're not.
Well, that'll be on cast, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
cast isn't.
Yeah, that would
It's a stream. It's a stream, but they don't archive.
Right.
It's just a stream so people can watch movies and TV with each other over the internet.
Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah, I have cast. I just had a lot of difficulty downloading it. Essentially, when we're trying to get it all set up.
Also, I did manage to figure out what was wrong the first time. Because on Tuesday we tried watching Maximum Overdrive and I could not get cast to work. And I think and for some reason I went in the next day and it was working again. And I think the reason why was because people jumped in ahead of me.
We have to make Cass work again.
Cast is just, I guess the best way of saying it does its own thing.
Yeah. So yeah, go join up if you want to hang out, watch a film. And
It's doing it again.
I'll be in contact with you, Matt, if there's anything I think needs to be addressed with the final pages. Hopefully there won't be many, and if there are, hopefully they're quick to resolve. And and like I said, once it's all done, I'm just going to start sending the links out for the digital copy of Mythics, just like I did for last night's round. But it'll be easier because I'm only sending them one thing each. Because as of now, we fulfilled everything we're capable of fulfilling. So everyone should just get an extra link to one book from here on until the physical rewards go out.
Man, I can't wait until the physical copies come out.
Me either. Being able to hold these in my hand is something I've been waiting all year for. So
yeah, because I enjoyed reading Adobe Kroger on the PDF, but I feel like I'll be able to appreciate it more when I can see the entire page instead of having to like zoom in to be able to see stuff.
That's how I always am too. Like I got the digital copy of Jack Irons too, but I haven't even opened the file. I'd much rather just read the book, which I have right here.
Yeah.
So
and then there's poor dumb shits like me that have to go with the PDF because, well, waiting 4 or 5 months for something to ship this way, and then also the chance of it getting stolen in the post.
Yeah, you have a really rough situation over there. I don't envy you.
So I kind of stick to digital. I mean, I get why people prefer physical copies. I mean, I'm lucky that my ferryman issue arrived 5 months later. Hey.
Yeah, I think Richard Meyer said that international backers are just happy that they get it at all.
Hey,
which is why I back predominantly digital.
I think we need to like release a version, or like you guys need to release a version of Adobe Kroger, but with like the most SJW like lines ever.
Oh god, like we should re-script it with SJW lines.
My name is Adobe Kroger. I'm a legend.
I am awesome. I'm amazing. And like Oliver,
God, man, just let Perch do it. Just let Perch do it.
Yeah, I'll actually like drop him some shekels to like re-script it with all those kinds of lines. It's like, yeah, have all of like her teammates say, "You're amazing, Adobe. Keep this up. You can do this."
Yeah, cause I'm sorry, but her one friend, what's her face, with the glasses,
Casey Crumb. Casey Crumb, yeah.
Casey Crumb. She kind of gives me that impression, like if she were in any like mainstream book.
Yeah, she does. She does look like Big Red, doesn't she?
Proceeds to get heavy flamer.
Honestly, I thought she looked more similar to the Robin from
was it
what's it
Dark
called?
Knight Returns?
Dark Knight Returns. Yeah.
Oh, Carrie Kelly.
Yeah, my actual inspiration was Velma from Scooby-Doo.
I see it.
One of my favorite characters of all time.
I
And
see
now
it.
you can't unsee it.
No. Yeah, I didn't try to make her resemble it, but I just love that look. I love the glasses with short hair. And when I was younger, that did not necessarily mean you were dealing with a lunatic. It just meant that was what she happened to be wearing at the time.
Gee, I miss those days.
Yeah, me too. Me too. You know, I actually did have blue hair when I was younger. Like, I dyed my bangs, and I was like, nowadays, that would be a mark of something entirely different.
Funny enough, back then you did that on a bet because if you lost the bet, you did that as because it was a joke. It was funny. It was like, look at this guy, he lost the bet. Now it's like, look at this guy, he's mentally insane.
Yeah. I just did it for the hell of it because I felt like doing something different. There was no thought behind it at all.
During whatchamacallit, middle school, I had a mohawk and I had dyed it red and blue because it was around the 4th of July, and then after that I dyed it purple. Yeah, and at some point I had a red mohawk during one summer, and I remember I walked into like this clinic and this old lady about had a heart.
Oh yeah, well it wasn't commonplace back then. Now I see old ladies with purple hair. I'm not even joking.
Yep.
Like there was this grandma and she had rainbow colors in her hair.
And
I saw one last night.
And I'm only talking about as far back as like 2012, I think.
Right. Well, it went south very quickly, like precipitously. It was like a stock market crash. Like it all happened very recently and over a very short period of time.
Right. I mean, I live in Texas too, so I mean, I'm pretty sure like an old lady here would certainly be much more of the conservative type.
Unless you're in Austin.
Unless you're in Austin. Oh my God, I had a cousin that went to a school in not a cousin, someone I know went to a school in Austin, and she took the she drank the Kool-Aid, honestly. And oh my gosh, she believes in this many genders. She believes in that. I'm not gonna name names, but it's like I tried to have a conversation with her. We were just talking about movies and stuff, and I mentioned Shia LaBeouf, and then she started getting upset, like he's just having a hard time.
Well,
the dangers of university.
Yeah, well, it's like I know Simpsons is a very boomer show right now, and I hesitate to reference it, but there was an episode that pertains very, very closely to what we're discussing here.
Yeah, Mr. Burns goes to the university where he's giving a lot of money to.
Yeah, the one I'm talking about though is it's supposed to be taking place in the near future from the story's continuity, and we see like a slightly older Marge and Homer in it, and they're sitting in bed, and there's like hardcore porn music playing, and Marge flips off the TV and says, "The Fox network turned into a hardcore porn network so slowly we barely even noticed it." And and that's how it is. Like I took my daughter out to a science museum the other day, and the presenter steps up and says, "My name is Miss So-and-so. My pronouns are she and her." I'm like, wait, what? Why is this like supposed to be how you introduce yourself now with your pronouns?
My God, have you seen the Democratic Socialist or whatever, the National Socialist convention thing where they all went by their pronouns and they went, "Do not use gendered language."
Yeah, the minute you start down that road, there literally is no stopping it, and you never know where it'll go next, and you can't stop it because you agreed to the rules. The minute you agree to those rules, then they can just continue on and on and on until everyone is literally insane.
Yeah, when whenever somebody interjected, they went, "Point of personal privilege."
Oh yeah.
I watched
Oh,
that. I nearly died laughing.
Oh my
It was
God.
hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious.
I showed my sister, I believe, and she thought it was ridiculous. I mean, I was watching it with somebody, and it was just like the most ridiculous just thing I've ever seen. These people are going to be the future of this country.
They'll never
And,
get anything done.
I was waiting.
and they can't even talk without policing each other. Like, how do they expect to get anything done?
I was expecting Crowder to jump out.
Well, yeah, the adults will have to show in. Will have to show up and, put them in the corner and tell them what's what.
Yeah. Notice how I'm able to speak when it's something I know about, or like I know a lot about, and that I can easily explain. I mean I'm pretty good with talking politics. Anything else, I'm a stuttering mess. Oh, and comic books, when I'm talking about comic books or whatever.
Yeah, because
I just ramble inanely, and people seem to pick up what I want to say.
I'd be concerned if you could not talk about comics at all, Dylan.
Batman. Right.
Point taken.
I'm just playing.
You sound like a terrorist from Team America.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just playing.
Let's not go down that route, please.
Yeah. On that note, folks, it's almost 3, so I need to get to work on Mythics and getting that done so that I can get that out as soon as possible. So we're gonna wrap up this stream, but Brett, go ahead and set up your movie on Cast, and if anyone wants to join them over there, please do, and we'll continue the hangout over there. Maybe I'll pop in and have it on in the background while I do the boring, busy work.
Right. Okay. Yeah, well, that's in about an hour. So, guys, just take some time, make some popcorn, go use the bathroom, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah. Thank
Or
you.
just hang out and shoot the shit.
Yeah, you can do that too. Leave the voice channel open. I'm just gonna shut the stream off. So
Go give yourself a good wink.
yeah. Go ahead and
Dylan.
pull your pud if you have to. Have some fun.
Jeez.
I mean,
Well, we know what Dylan's doing.
No,
Pretty much.
No.
All right.
I'm good.
All right. I just want to say thank you guys for being part of the community. Thanks for all your artwork. Thanks for supporting our books. Thanks for giving us feedback on what we've got out to you so far. And I'm going to work my ass off today to get Mythics into a state where it can be sent out. And if there aren't any edits that are needed, it's going to go out immediately. So
Be that much faster.
yeah, but this is the first issue of Mythics, and I want to be as good as possible. So if there's anything I think needs adjusting, do you think Bethy will be able to respond?
I think maybe.
All
It's
right.
a charity, so.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll do what we need to do. We'll do what we need to do. I'm not making any promises, but I'm gonna get started on it as soon as I get off here. So, anything anyone else wants to say before we head out?
Not really.
Just congratulations on guys. Like it's amazing what you guys were able to accomplish.
Thank you very much. It was not easy, but I think we've proven that if we can do it, anyone can. So if you have an idea, start hyping it up, start getting people pumped for it, show off some artwork if you can draw, and if you can't, find an artist that will make it sing for you, and start telling people about it, get people interested in it, build a platform, a community around it, and then just do it.
Once I get my script done, I'm gonna try and make as much artwork as I can. I'll certainly be advertising it as much as I can. I mean, I don't have quite the audience as I used to when I was on Twitter, but I mean, I at least have you guys. So
I can help you with that.
I will provide feedback.
We will all help you, Dylan, and you're gonna get your stuff out there. Just don't get discouraged if it takes time to build it up. That's all we have to tell you.
I mean, it's all good. It'll be released alongside your guys' work. right?
Absolutely. All right. So on that note, folks, we're going to call it here. Thank you for coming in, everybody. And we will do this again on Tuesday.